currently is running in that type of fireworks.
And that's
That's
the position.
This?
The labor division.
It's actually, it might be mad, I'm not even sure on that, I would have to verify. Currently is running in that type of fireworks.
And that's the position.
This?
The labor division.
It's actually, it might be mad, I'm not even sure on that, I would have to verify. Currently is running in that type of fireworks.
And that's the position.
This?
The labor division.
It's actually, it might be mad, I'm not even sure on that, I would have to verify. Currently is running in that type of fireworks.
And that's the position.
This?
The labor division.
Move on to the management raise.
Okay.
Oh,
I do have one more thing about the lady involvement. So I'm looking at the budget. And exactly, so what's in here currently is so that's the two that from the 5 that was last year or in the last budget to the 7 that's currently shown.
5 to 7.
So it's no additional. So just the 7.
Right, it's 5 from the measures or and 2 from the 5 to get 7 for the 26 proposed.
Okay, thank you.
And those 5 never left. How many of those are filled?
I believe they're all filled. Yes.
any other questions? Okay, let's move to the proposed management raise.
Are there any questions in particular about the raises for the positions? Majority of them received resources.
Looking at here.
No, I asked for this report just for comparison. For us to look at the dollar amount. And it's gonna cost us, what, $90,000 approximately? No, sorry,
No, that's not it. That's just for the golf pro.
So the total.
So we need, for this report is not complete, I asked complete breakdown, how much it's gonna cost us, 2026, overall raises. Can somebody just pull that up on this, the Excel sheet is available? And do the delta between the two, 2025, 2026.
Essentially, it's, you're probably looking closer to 3% increase, like a few left. So the delta is more probably around 4 or 5%, and we'll get that information together for you.
$90,000 for the golf course.
For the pro, math.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's broken up by general fund, and then water, sewer, a couple of keynotes, the OGS commissioners, they were a third between the general water and sewer funds now to help out with the general fund expenditures. They're just now in the water and sewer funds, so they're just half. So that's why you see a big jump in that, so don't be alarmed in that. That's only 3% increase from their original salary.
What's wrong?
Yes. The same thing is for the, let's see, there's one.
Administrative, not the administrative assistant.
Which one is that? Sorry.
So I have a few, but the administrative assistant gets you there with the water sewer.
Sure. Oh, that is to keep it in line with CCA raises. There's some medical staff now that are receiving lower salaries than CCA members
Really?
due to the last contract that was signed.
And these aren't new positions, these are just raises on the current position.
Correct.
And these are all management positions. Or exclude from CSE.
So the majority of the ones that you do see raises in is to, for the reason like I stated, the CCA increases management, for example, if you look at purchasing supervisor, if you look at that code, accounts payable clerk is currently making more this year than, salary of 70,000 for that individual. So we're trying to keep it in line. That's why you see some positions higher than 3%.
Okay, so this is not what I asked for. I asked for the report to show the management raises that is outside of CSE.
This is all management.
Yeah, but then you mentioned that CSE.
I'm just making a comparison.
Comparison.
Certain rates have increased more than 3% compared to CSEA.
So isn't that report here is all management?
This is all management.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna follow up on this because I need to, the difference between 2025 and 2026. Okay, this is gonna help us to, with our proposal from the council.
Yeah, it would be,
Oh, sorry, Mr. Toro, and then Mr. Farley.
Thank you. Eric, when you spoke of the administrative assistant to keep up with the CSEA raises, are we responsible to do that? Is there anything, or is it just so that, do we have to do that?
Do we have to do that?
16%?
No, but I would believe most people would probably stop becoming manager and stay in the union position or leave the city. I think
Right.
I think if you look at really, the council should look at other contracts, fire, police, and other unions, and really see how much they're making. Because we're gonna nitpick the management, it's really gonna hurt morale.
But just a question.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
so-
no, hold on.
I see it as I understand that you don't want someone to be working understanding to make,
Correct.
more than
Correct.
their supervisor,
Correct.
which I think I might feel the same way if I was a supervisor. So, if I can continue, then I'm going to ask about all the raises that are over 3%. And on the first page, I had the accounting supervisor, the supervisor at 12%, supervisor receipts at 17, purchasing supervisor at 7, deputy registrar at 10, and the supervisor of buildings at 9. So, if you could just kind of like give the rationale for all of those.
Of course, so the executive secretary, that's for the mayor's office, that is to keep it in line with the executive secretary, that's a CC member, in the police department.
Okay.
The accounting supervisor and supervisor of receipts, they are two essential department heads within the city. And this matches their counterparts and other, levels of, department heads within the city. So,
Within the city.
right, correct. So these numbers are in line with other department heads at their level.
what line are you talking about right now? Who are you talking about?
The accounting supervisor.
Accounting supervisor.
And supervisor of receipts.
Oh, so both of, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go, for example, one of their counterparts is the assessment, city assessor.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll give you an idea of why these, salaries have increased to, this amount.
So when we're, sorry, when you're doing that, I understand we're taking into account their positions. Are we also taking into account their longevity? How long, because
Correct, so.
conceivably, someone could have been here a short period of time, but being.
Correct, so for these two, individuals particularly, both are, one is 27 years and I believe one's between 20-25 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, that makes sense.
I know we won't be able to, for like any new positions or anything, but I think that it would be helpful if, it seems like Mr. Motivarian might want you to do something a little different with this report. It would also be helpful to look at like what raises were given for these, the percentage of raises that were given for these positions in 2024 as well. I think that'd be a good reference point for us.
Yeah, we can do that, that shouldn't be a problem. Are there any, do you want to see all the management positions or just?
I guess
Yeah.
just adding another column here in the spreadsheet that just reflects that, so therefore we can have like, just a good reference.
From 2024 to 25.
Oh.
And then we do a
Comparison.
comparison between 2025, 2026, 2025.
Total comparison?
No, just those 2 years, 2025, 2026, let's look at a dollar amount.
Okay. I thought you mentioned you wanted a total for all the management salaries of 25 to
Yeah,
26.
yeah, so when you do the column, when you insert the column, you will do the delta, dollar amount for each position, and then you do a total at the bottom.
And my other, oh, I'm sorry, sorry,
I think,
but I'm not calling on you because I can't.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But it was,
Jonathan.
thank you. It was, I think you already clarified it, or Jared clarified it that, because during their presentations, these folks had been here for like 28 years. So they talked about it when we were having the department head, when they presented to us.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about longevity as a this position.
Alright.
Which-
Next one, I believe, was the deputy registrar. I think Sam, talked about this, it's the same thing. We never was hired, than this management individual.
Supervisor Jones.
Supervisor of buildings, that was a recommendation, from the OGS commissioner to the deputy OGS commissioner for the skill sets that this individual has. But my discussion with them, was on call 24/7.
Really? So does that also mean?
File open actually, so you would be able to do it, so I figured. I can say yes. You say that, it's the most recent, proposed budget. And it should be the first worksheet, so it's right before the, general.
So we're gonna add, 2024. So we can add 2024. And then we're gonna do the difference between 2026 and 2025 in terms of dollar amount. Anything else needed on this
You
report?
want to total the column.
And then a total at the bottom of the column, yes.
Which I said 24.
24, 25, and 26.
Adopted 24, adopted 25.
Yes,
Yes,
And then proposed 26.
correct. And we just do a comparison between 25 and 26 in dollar amount and then total.
Okay, do you want the water, sewer, and golf, are we just looking strictly at general fund?
Everything, the entire report you have here.
and these are all filled, right? I just want to.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, the question I have about the stipend, supervisor of buildings is under 160 to 100, and there was a $3,000 stipend in it for that was down for that, this position. It was there. I think that, yes. Okay, and my other question was on the Commission of Public Service, I see that there's a 4% increase.
Where's that?
It's on the top of the, well, to me, it's top of the.
Commissioner of Public Service, yes, that was a typo I didn't mention on my first typo department head meeting. So that should be 3% from that, that's it, higher budget.
Okay.
It was just a small typo, so if you see.
In that line, it should be 3%.
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner.
It's on the bottom of the previous page, I think.
So that's the correct amount on the bottom of the first page, 3 rows up. So that's a small typo.
Okay, so it's on there twice. Okay, oh, half here and half.
Half it, please.
Half and half, gotcha. Thank you.
Actually, I'm sorry, because now he's already gone upstairs, but, oh no, it doesn't matter. Yep, sorry.
The other document we have there, this is one that we missed yesterday. There was a conversation between, we talked about the parking fines.
Yeah.
And the delinquent tickets. So this is
That's the other packet.
2 pages, and it shows where we are in terms of the recovery effort. 22,000 that I mentioned yesterday. And then the other page, they show that the activity that we're doing in terms of the approach to without starting to get.
Yeah, it's not clear what you're speaking about.
The other packet.
The one that was sent to us.
Yesterday?
No, this is separate. I discussed this yesterday, but we didn't bring this out. Your copy of this. This has to do with, the PE, from, Assistant Chief
Okay.
Brian Whipple. And we talk about the activity that they're doing in terms of, outstanding ticket during the period, 4-hour period. And they show the revenue that they're generating, which is significant. So if you were to do our math within ourselves there, we're talking about a significant stuff here. So my question, we get requested that the police be here. I don't see them here. Did anybody, follow up?
I sent an email to the police, today, and from what the chief has stated is that the parking revenue is in line with what is expected, is currently the highest it's been in years. That's the quick statement he provided in the email.
That's interesting.
Regarding the tolls, that this is the, toll increase in response to raising revenue, it would require the council to raise the toll surcharge and it would require the toll contract be renegotiated.
I don't think that was the question. The question was more of central. We hire capital recovery to help us with the collection effort. And when we discussed last year with the fee, it was saying that the approach that they're going to be taking was a more aggressive approach, and they're going to be using capital recovery to help us with the process. And the number that was quoted was very significant in terms of the returns. So that's why I want to ask them, where is the shortfall? What do we need to do as a council? How can we step in and help? And that's what I was asking there last night, in terms of what do we need to do as a council and to help along this process and to kind of speed it up. Because yes, we have millions of dollars outstanding that we were promised to recover. Not the old ticket, but the new ones.
You're saying that not the older tickets, but
But the old, some of them are in the millions, but they're like 10 years.
Okay.
So people maybe pass on,
Yeah,
so those are like, might not be able to,
Yeah, less likely.
less likely to
Right,
recover.
gotcha.
So we're focusing on the millions of dollars of the new ones and the new outstanding tickets.
And so I do remember that, well, some of that conversation, so they essentially told us that they'd be able to recover. We're nowhere even near that right now.
That, yes.
And, okay. And so we need, how much should we pay them?
Well, that's what I want to know.
Percentage.
They're getting a percentage of what they collect. So we're not losing anything. They are adding on it.
So,
But I don't want us to kind of, hire a company and we're expecting them to collect this and if they're shortfall, we need to know. Because this is revenue that we're anticipating.
Correct.
And if we're getting shortfall and it affects our budget year after year, we need to know. If it's not working, then we don't need to come for it. It is right. But I think it's a significant line that we need to look at, and I think we need to increase it. And I think we need to work with the police department to have a more high level approach of how we do this recovery and to assist them.
and I find, I feel like, there was a very large number of uncollected parking
Yes.
fines, not the revenue that we expected versus what we actually have here today.
Those are the reports from last year. If you look at your reports from last year,
That's where
you
that
will
was,
see
because it was like over $100,000, I think, that was uncollected.
No.
And it's 170,000 in this
Yeah,
budget,
okay.
Yeah, it's
So
millions of dollars.
2610,
It's millions of dollars uncollected parking ticket.
Oh,
I need to change vendors.
And that's what we want to help. We're not saying that they're not doing a good job. They're doing a good job, but we just need to, to step in and see where help is needed. Maybe we need a new, collection, agency. I don't know, but I think we need to explore it.
What is our year to date? I see what we budgeted last year. We're budgeting 30,000 more this year. Revenue line, it's a 2610, it's what Mr. Newberry is talking about.
Our actual,
Oh, yeah, that's why I thought it was.
our actual is 122.
That's all we are now?
Yes,
So we didn't even reach, maybe they're not.
the one party.
We're upping it by 30,000.
Yeah, that's,
It's actually,
Right? Better do something.
Well, wait a minute, that line, 2610 M though, we're only 20, I'm looking at the report that was generated on October 9th, but, we've got almost 80% of the revenue. We're at 80% of the budget. We still had, November and December, most of October, November and December. So wouldn't that be in line if they continue doing it when we hit the 100%?
I would estimate it would be close too. Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be actually that number at the end of the year, so.
Bless you.
Well, it's not a line of what we budget, that's an estimate. If we exceed it,
Oh,
it's a good thing.
no, I'd love to
I
exceed
think the
it.
goal from my end, and I'm trying to get at is that we need to exceed that. Not because we budgeted last year for 140,000, we should only achieve 140,000. We should achieve 1.4 million dollars of all the outstanding $10 million plus.
And when we budgeted that, did we budget that based on what they presented their ability to do, or was that based on a conservative?
And that's why I wanted them to
Yeah.
come and give us a snapshot of, hey, is that what you budgeted? Can you budget more? Or why did you arrive at 170,000? Can the expectation be more than that?
So what's in the?
And there, if you look down page on the sixth, on the, you have a copy?
I do now.
Yeah, so if you look at there, I don't wanna kind of throw those numbers out. Where would that be under? Would that be under parking fines?
What are you looking at exactly? The amounts?
The 69,000, right?
Yes. Would that be under parking fines?
Bless you. Which line?
I believe that would be, but if we're gonna talk about delinquent, we can see a command staff at tomorrow's meeting. Discuss delinquent parking and then these amounts. So I'm sure that more person, alright.
Yeah, because if you look at the proposed 2026 amount there versus what is on this line here, we're $1 million up. If this is real per day.
That's, command staff should discuss that.
Yeah. So we just need them to come in and kind of agree. But yes, they sent this to me, but I think it's better for the entire council to kind of have a better understanding and to kind of interact with the 3D internet. Because this is, if we look at these two items here, it could be significant revenue that we can estimate. So it's an estimate. And we just need to make sure that the department had worked towards those estimates.
And, what would be the approximate overtime for 3 officers for 4 hours?
Sorry, was it?
What would be the approximate overtime for 3 officers for 4 hours each, 5 days a week? Any idea?
There's multiple
I know,
factors at play depending on rank and file.
right? A lot of times
Don't
the
have an answer for you right now.
high ranks take the OT between those hours. Just wondering, out of that $69,000, are we giving back $2-3 grand in overtime? Just wondering.
But the thing that we already paid him his salary,
And-
we already have it in the budget.
It's already in the budget,
Yes.
right.
So it's cost that we already
Absorbed, right,
Yeah,
but
absorbed for this.
just
So this is like revenue coming in. If, for example, they didn't go to do this, we still have to pay them.
absolutely.
So this is more of a additional or new revenue, additional revenue coming in.
Not really though, right? Because even though it's budgeted for the overtime, they won't have to use it.
If they budgeted, I mean,
Yeah,
it's there for them to use.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But I'm saying that they generate revenue, it's not directly coming out from the revenue.
Understood.
It's coming out from the
Existing
salaries.
Right.
For salary.
Okay, yeah.
So we're gonna need to follow up with the PD. And that is something that we should consider as a council and kind of consider additional revenue to be added to those 2 lines. The next one we asked for CDBG. What's going on with CDBG? In terms of briefing us, in terms of surplus, in terms of where the money is, the revenue is being booked.
So I know there's discussion about close and snap. So for the departments, they have to perform above and beyond normal government functions in order to utilize the CDBG funding. Maybe, maybe be a good idea to have those department heads in another budget hearing meeting discuss, as well as have the director of development discuss why we're not reaching our goals in those revenue lines.
So can we set that up for tomorrow?
And see if they're available.
Because we're not meeting on Thursday. Friday. So it'd be nice if we can,
So that's like $500,000 that we could take out of the.
exactly, that's what I was
Well,
looking at.
actually, I'm sorry, that's
Bringing
revenue.
in, revenue, bringing in.
That's revenue, so if we're not making that revenue,
Well, I don't think you think we're not making a revenue. We wanna know where is the allocation. If we're not spending the money, can we bring that money back into the city and, various departments?
Yesterday was those red lines.
I don't think so. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We go ahead.
I thought the discussion yesterday from council was why are those lines at 0% usage?
Mhm.
I think it was SNAP, Post, and.
No, that wasn't zero.
Yeah, those
The only one was zero was that.
Two.
two, SNAP and code enforcement. 2170 A and C.
Earlier, I had a conversation about saying CDBG funding more positions in development. I'll let that discussion up in there, but I agree it was with understanding why the year is like zero.
So I'm looking at the revenue here,
Mm-hmm,
2026.
mm-hmm.
Under SNAP, zero. Under code enforcement is 100,000, under finance is 65,000,
Mhm.
and under development is 570. So there's only one that is zero.
No,
No,
but what we're saying is this year to date.
Oh,
It's year to date. It's zero under, I think it was code enforcement and finance.
SNAP and code.
SNAP and
Snap
code
and code?
enforcement.
Okay, snap and code. This year Snap doesn't have anything, but from last year's budget, snap and code are zero in terms of expenditures, right?
In terms of, is that expenditure or revenue though?
Revenue.
it's
In other
revenue.
words, we haven't drawn it down
Drawing it down.
from the federal
That's
government,
all? Okay.
which I don't, I don't know if that's a reporting piece or, does something need to happen
Well,
administratively to get us that money?
I think those are questions.
So, and that's what I was trying to get at yesterday in terms of, if we have this money and their agency was that, can we reallocate this money to various categories within the city and bring them in as revenue and do projects within the city?
I believe my understanding is that the CDBG has specific guidelines within each of these lines on where the money needs to go. And so I don't think you can shuffle it.
No, but that's why I said that.
Yeah.
So, let's look at it, various categories, and see if we can reallocate it within the city and utilize that revenue.
I think, for example, when you look at line 2170F,
Yes, finance.
it has to be used on finance.
Yes.
That, right? Agree?
I agree with that, and in addition to that, they're very strict guidelines for
Yeah.
for this money. And in addition to that, there's also caps of how much we can spend in each category, so it's not gonna be as easy to move it around
Well,
as we think it is. And CDBG all comes through, Department of Health.
Oh, yes.
That's how it comes here. So we'd have to have some serious guidance on how we could do that.
well, that's why we need the director to kind of guide us along in terms of what is available, where is the shortfall, and what can we do as a city.
Yeah, I don't think she's gonna want anyone to take it up for budget, but
Well, no, we're not taking, we're bringing in money.
Yes,
This is revenue,
Bringing in
revenue that we
yes,
haven't brought
use
in.
Yeah.
Other departments, if we can.
that's, the other departments are.
Go ahead, Mr. Farber.
No, I'm just in my thoughts. I
No,
remember, I thought Ms. Carr was here, she was talking about money that was in other departments from CDBG money that she's now bringing back into her department because they weren't being used.
yes,
And I think that we're talking about the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, so we can get some clarity.
and that's exactly what I asked Neil last night about, in terms of surplus, and when we receive those surplus, we do reallocate them to other agency. Can we keep those money in-house
And
and
offset.
spend it within various programs and
I
departments.
believe that's what she did with the SNAP funding. You can see that's why it zeroed out in
Right.
26 and then increased to 570. And then that's why I believe she increased that line. Well, then we can see if she's available tomorrow for tomorrow night's meeting. Discuss it in further detail.
Yes.
Thank you. And I think that's where she's looking to get some money for our youth employment.
Yes.
So
That's what I said. Once somebody's available, we'll bring in as revenue and then pass it all back as, into various expenditure categories.
That probably would be that line, 2170G. Would be for youth, if she's, because I think that's where she gets her grants out, the grants that go out to community groups and other services, it's in that line, I think. As well as it supports some of the staffing within development.
Yeah, but I don't think, I don't know if we're talking about that right now, but being that we're mentioning it, my thought would be, that's not a line that we can, I don't wanna end up, dealing with, the possibilities of what money's out there. That's a line that we need to secure funding for that we know is going to be here. And that's why I was going the route I was going. So, but yeah, we could talk about that when we get there.
CDBG is the right approach for that because that's guaranteed fund. And if it's a surplus line, we can reallocate the money into youth. And also when we talk about youth, we also have to look at the seniors because they're zero also. So we have to make sure that we love our youth. We have to take care of them. We have to love our seniors too and take care of them. So we have to fund them too and fund the programs.
That's perfect. If CDBG money, we take that money, fund our seniors, take the money from the golf course, fund our youth. Boom, bada boom, bada boom.
All right. So we'll follow up, make sure we have that. I like this conversation.
I got all the answers.
I like this. So we'll follow tomorrow with a PD and CDBG to get them out. If not tomorrow, then Friday is okay. But the earlier is better for us to kind of help us along.
The only caveat or word of caution would be that, again, remember, this is money that comes to us from the federal government. And this is the type of money, I'm just being honest here, that, this could very much be at risk under the present administration, because this is the type of funding that he's not fond of in terms of the programs that it funds on the people that it serves. So I just want to say that I think we need to have it in here as a possible revenue source, but I think we also have to, write letters, call, and do everything we can to advocate to make sure that we get that funding.
I think it's two
in our
category.
country.
It's two category funding. We're talking about the surplus agency that are not utilizing the allocation that
From
we need to,
2025.
we need to draw back.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about, because there are some agency that is not meeting up to the expectation that we need to plow back the funding.
Totally.
So we don't want to give that up, so we reallocate that. That's what I'm pushing at.
I'm just saying
So
the
in terms of
revenue.
current one, if we can reallocate, then yes. But I'm looking more primarily at the agency that is not meeting expectations.
I
Yeah, so
completely
that's
agree
what
with
we're
you.
looking at. So those are guaranteed. So we'll follow up and make sure that we have the two department back in. The earlier, the better. Are there any other questions? I think we
We have a couple of questions about the mortgage tax.
Yes.
I believe in the packet first page.
Well,
Maybe you'll have this sheet.
no,
So like they did an analysis for the mortgage tax. Currently we are at 488,000. We budgeted 1.1 million. I believe for 2026 we budgeted 950,000. All correctly. 950,000. Last year we received 894,000. 2024 received 894,000. So we're anticipating receiving approximately the same, maybe a little more than about $900,000, probably more towards 950. as we, put within the proposed budget. Just let it, be about that, so we're not overinflating some of the numbers.
Well, I don't think we're inflated. I think we had a discussion yesterday with, I thought on the here, everyone. We are looking at the trend of the housing market and in terms of the pricing. And, you know, the mortgage is very high. The mortgage now on almost all the houses are higher than what we used to be 2 years ago. So our expectation for that line should be higher because of the house, the sale of these houses. That's how I was looking at. I was looking at the trend in terms of house sales.
So with this one, is that what we're?
No, that's on page 12, the second line. We talked about this yesterday.
Right.
And yeah, we did ask for actual, but the whole conversation was more of centered around the housing trend, the housing market and the projection based on the sale price.
So you think it should be higher than
Yes.
950?
Yes.
Because year to date, well, this is when I first looked at this, so I don't know what day.
488.
488,534.
Right.
But those are paid in quarters, so those only.
Oh,
two
that's
quarters we
right, you
have.
said that.
So we should be double, so.
Yes.
Oh, so we'll make our,
950.
okay,
So we are on line for close upward to a million.
okay.
What's the line, you're talking about revenue line?
Yeah.
We're talking about revenue market.
Which line?
A3005.
Page,
12.
page 12, second line.
Mortgage tax, got it.
So do you have a recommended number on that?
$1,000,000. Go up 400.
I have a number I recommended, but I just want to, consult to kind of like, I don't want to throw a number out and then we're like, well, how did you, kind of like, but we want to look across the board at the trend that's happening. All of us know the housing market.
Yeah, no, yeah.
We're selling houses, say, a foreclosure property, and we are seeing over the last 4 years from 5,000 and 10,000, 4 years, from 5,000 and 10,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So why the dip in 2024 in that line?
Okay. 2024?
Yeah.
Pretty substantial dip too.
That's true, yeah.
And I was gonna say possibly because that could be like the lingering effects of maybe COVID, but really, actually, the housing market went crazy. So it really shouldn't be.
I don't know. So who would we ask that within our? Mhm.
Is going
Oh,
up.
no, yeah, that's right.
Regardless
That's
of what,
Yep.
It was.
let's look at the future.
You got it.
Let's look at the future market, look at the future trend.
I'll be right.
Yeah, it went down by 166,000 between the actual in 23 and 24.
But I think to Mr. Mudavar's point, if we went back maybe to 2021, we probably would see the,
Drop.
we probably see it's going in the trend you're saying, but I still would like to just know why that adjustment is. We know what that is, but I see what you're saying though.
Okay, that was a question.
So they're part of it though, when we're from a realtor, we're increasing taxes at the proposed rates. Let us slow down. So making sure the cost was sit back on that also. And I was gonna say, the conversation is continuing. It's difficult to not talk about the next line, 30, 89, H. So we're gonna come in with that the casino licensing fee is only going to be $100,000 with the introduction of our multi-tiered arena.
I think it's two different, I think that's two different companies, but,
No, but it's gonna hold
oh, I see what you're saying. They're going to the,
to some degree.
Well, we don't set the fees, right? The licensing fees, correct?
That's my question, how was that determined? Mr. Mudavarren spoke about that briefly in terms of how it's determined, the
Is this
casino
not,
fee.
is this number aligned with the county?
Yes,
Yeah.
so these numbers, for 4.1, and our sales tax I spoke with the county, these numbers are in line.
Driven.
Driven by what? I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. That was my question.
They provide us with a calculation for their sales, for the sales tax. This is an estimate they provided us. I can look into see what maybe it's driven by. They provided us, the reason behind it.
So in more basic terms, so we can actually adjust that ourselves? If that's what I'm saying.
We could, but I would recommend it.
For the casino, okay, like, help me, walk me through that. Why you don't wanna recommend that?
Usually we base it off the county's numbers, and there's a formula of, I don't have it on me, there's a formula, for how it's split up.
Mhm.
And how much revenue is, received by the city.
Okay. Few
They
things.
kind of tell us,
Yeah, but we don't have to listen, right? Based on like,
well, we won't get it, they have to give it to
We
us.
get a certain percentage.
okay, and they
That
give
gets
that to
negotiated.
us. So what I'm trying to figure is how did we get here? What level of autonomy do we have as far as figuring out where that number is? That to me is pretty much because if something that we don't have any, then there's nothing, then we don't need to look at that. However, my next kind of thought about that is even if we don't have, autonomy over how this looks, there's nothing stopping us from the city perspective to go back to the casino and say that, we would like, them to, contribute more.
Change the formula.
Well, it could be
It's
kind of,
driven by the state.
this is one map. It could go that way, or it could be in the way of a new community benefit agreement. And I think that there's questions that can be asked.
Overestimate revenue that extra.
Yeah, but to your point earlier, it was just an estimate.
Mhm.
So you know what I mean. So
Which is a good thing. But then I get to your point, the 4.1. If we exceeded that year, are we gonna exceed it in 2025?
But-
Nobody else.
Can I just? Mary, I think, I just remember these discussions from previous years, about, I think it is a negotiation, I think it's part of the sales tax negotiation that we have with the county. I know sales, that's a separate line, but I think it might be that same discussion. I mean, I'd have to ask our commissioner, but I think,
Two separate.
I know they're two separate, but I don't know. I don't know that we necessarily can drive it. I think that the county drives it.
Yeah, I don't have the agreement, but there's an agreement and it's split up by percentages.
Yes, that's right.
County gets a portion and there's different,
The school
also
also
it's all broken up and we have a certain percentage of
Yeah.
that pot.
yeah, I guess my question would be I'm certain that there's a formula in place. What I'm saying is that who decides that formula? What level of impact do we have to talk about what that formula could possibly look like? And I think that right now, times like this, those are the conversations we need to have. So I'm saying like, I'm gonna figure that out.
I think in terms of this budget, the formula's already decided, and where there's no moves like between now and November 1st to renegotiate any of that. So for me, my perspective is that we got almost 300,000 over projected, and then we increased that line based on the past
The
year,
past years.
right?
Yes, and exactly, that's what I was trying to compare, that almost 300,000 in 2024. So how do we approach it?
No,
I will say that, I mean, I agree that perhaps, I think we'd have to take a guess. But if we think there's the new event center, I mean, if we think that people that are gonna go to the event center would also go to the casino, I'm not sure that I do buy that. I mean, I think that if you think of the events that any of us have attended at the event center, you go to the event and you go home probably, but, right, I don't know, but I'm not really sure that, there's gonna be I'm just raising it, that maybe we could guesstimate, that maybe we get a little bit extra because we have more people coming into town. By virtue of the event.
People don't have any money to go to the casino.
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's
that's,
conjecture.
yeah, it would be totally conjecture, so I think that we should not mess around with it too much.
But as far as bed tax, sales tax, what we get from the county is, I think it could be more.
I agree too, but I think those are not things that we negotiate.
I mean,
Right, and I guess I'm seeking clarity on as to, but sometimes what I've noticed is that sometimes things are done a certain way because they've always been done in that certain way, not necessarily because it's just a matter of practice, maybe not necessarily a matter of policy. So I'm like, those are the things that we just have to kind of like have be clear on. Is it something that we have a
This is
level
as
of
September
influence?
2025, we have 2,072,000.
Casino. 2 million.
Yeah,
72, that's 2 quarters, so it's gonna be close to 4 million.
So yeah, so you're on par with it, what, 4 million?
It's gonna be like 4 million, the same last year for this year. So 4.1 was pretty solid.
Yeah.
So based on the trend of the first 2 quarters, you're more than likely gonna exceed your estimate.
just making it sound.
I like to see a smile.
So just to be clear, right now, we're trying to figure out ways to,
Yes.
to be increasing our revenue, right?
Exactly, that's the purpose of this discussion here. So, to that point, well noted, I mean, as we continue to go through this question, we can always revisit those lines. But those are lines we need to look at. Not only that line, all the lines that we started yesterday. Today. What other question we have from yesterday?
So
Wait, can I go back for a minute? Just on that one, so you said it was 2,072,000,
72.
and that's only 2 quarters?
no, 2 million. What's the other thing? 2 million on my head.
Oh, it's maybe that, okay.
2,072,000, not
Yes.
600,000.
Oh, okay, okay, I went to 7, wrong, all right. I was like, wait, there's more money on the table, but.
For the record, I'm still suggesting we find a way to ask the casino for more money. In layman's terms, is what I'm saying.
That will have to be maybe a separate discussion, but take into consideration the casino is filing a grievance against their taxes.
They've been doing that for several years.
So we have to be careful what is going on there, because if that ever happened to get approved,
We'd be in trouble.
exactly, we're in big trouble.
They gotta be.
Oh, they have to approve, the council has to approve it.
So let's be mindful of what is happening over there, and hope it doesn't.
I'm sure we'll have to take care of it for us.
Yeah. Any other question? Sam, you don't have anything to say?
I think there was a comment last time about the allowance for uncollected taxes in your packet.
Yes.
Provided, analysis, it looks like good.
Mm-hmm.
That you can see
Oh, yeah,
prior years,
sheets.
24 to 2016, that's the tax levy, that was budgeted, and then the allowance for actuals, the actual, allowance for, uncollected taxes. So you can see that this number historically increases when the tax levy increases. So I wouldn't recommend, that's actually low, at 2.8.
When tax levy increased, look, in 2023, it was 31.6 million,
Yes.
and we're 3.2.
Right.
And then in 2024, we're 32.1,
Correct. So
and
if you look at
the allowance went down.
the allowance for uncollected taxes. So when that number goes up, that means our revenues reduced. So if you see that 3 million, if you look historically, it goes 2 million, 3.2, 3 million.
Yeah, the negative will reduce, yes.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying.
So you were, I believe you were indicating that we could, take the 2.8 million and bring that number
No,
down.
but I'm glad you did that analysis, because look at the trend. For, in 2023, 31.6, 3.2 negative. 2024, 32.1, just over $3 million. 2025, 43.3 million, 2.8. We're $6 million higher in terms of revenue. Why is this the same? We have $6 million.
I'm not
That's
understanding
not
what you're
revenue
saying.
per se.
No, not saying, but the tax, property tax, real property tax,
I'm not following.
$49.3 million.
You're not looking at this.
You're looking at.
You're looking at some,
revenue.
he's going over this with us.
Where does that?
Came to us tonight, today, it was one of the packets that we got today.
I don't have that.
I think it's under there, it's right there, second page, maybe, I just saw it.
I'm looking at the same thing y'all are. Hold on.
Here, you want- It was one of the packets we got today. Here,
I don't have that.
take a look.
Do you have one of these, Sam?
It should be behind the matching raises.
And before, the next one?
No, they're like putting still headed.
No, I,
Here. Can I run in and make?
can we just make a copy, please? Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, he's got it, he's got it.
I have it here. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not really understanding it.
I
It's-
start from the top.
So, yeah, the tax year 24 to 2016, the tax levy, which would be the A1101 real property taxes. And you see the allowance for uncollected taxes. There was a statement, I believe it was yesterday, that we could possibly reduce that $2.8 million to lower that 2 million or 1.8 million, which would then help our bottom line out. So that number at 2.8 million is actually low. We were predicting it's more around 3.3 million. So that number is below the analysis. You see where it says this is actually too low.
Yeah, So
And this is just a representation to show you exactly what our allowance.
I see.
Uncollected taxes
I
were
see.
in previous years. So I wouldn't recommend lowering that number.
Yeah, but the reason why I'm asking for that, to look at it, because last year we budgeted 33.3 million in real property tax. And this year we're budgeting $39.3 million. That's not $6 million difference.
wait a minute, let me see it. I'm on the.
So then as we budget higher,
Page 8.
our exposure should be reduced. So then where are you getting this 8%? Is that standard or is this something that we try to maintain?
That's the lowest so if you look in 22, as percentage, that's the lowest percentage. So we took that number and times that.
Okay, so it's not something that is standard. If you just look at the lowest one and then multiply, okay.
To be cautious?
Yeah, exactly, so be cautious.
I think 2.8 is, I spoke with our finance team, individual there, I mentioned that she's been here for 25 plus years, that's a lot of knowledge too, and she says even this number is, low, so.
Really?
I wouldn't touch it.
Okay,
Yeah, but then those years, we've seen over the years that the real property tax has started, so it's moving upward. So $6 million within a year, and you're telling me your exposure to uncollect is the same. I don't think that the exposure, the exposure is too much.
You recommended to lowering that amount?
Yes. Because if we are anticipating or saying, okay, we're gonna collect $39 million and then, pray to God that we collect more than that, then our exposure should not be the same as this year into next year.
So I think what would help, to your point, Mr. Rivera, is if we had a proposed allowance for uncollected taxes for 23 and 24.
What is it, sorry?
To understand how close the recommendations from the finance, which technically we're here, are not in this currency. I think that would help support how on the spot they are in regards to this line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but we did exceed our collection last year and the year before, and we are aligned to exceed that this year.
The,
Real property tax.
for real property tax, 32 million and 31 million for 24 and 23 respectively.
it's on here.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah, so but we get
Page,
exceeded, right?
page 8, top line.
23.
The actual, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, we're seeing the actual,
Well, I'm looking at
how
both.
much did we budgeted?
We
That's what I'm saying.
And
we
what
exceed.
year you asked that question?
I was supporting what Mr. Williams was saying.
Proposed budget for 23 and 24 for allowance of unallocated taxes, I think would support. But John's saying, I think the formula can use some adjustment, we have wiggle room. And then whether we kind of lean more towards fire team, who's saying we have an individual who's saying, well,
So the adopted for allowance for uncollected taxes for 23 was 3 million. And for 24, was 2.8 million.
No, we're talking about the next line.
Now we're talking about real property.
Real property tax lines.
Oh, the
How
real-
much did we budget?
1001.
And how much did we get? We exceed the collection.
So we budgeted in,
That's the very first line, the whole package.
in 23, we budgeted 31 million.
Mhm.
We actually received the 31 million. 24, we budgeted 32 million.
Wait, hold on. Well, you have 31.629 here.
He's rounding.
That's the actual.
He's telling you what he got.
So we exceed by 600,000.
No, so, excuse me, so 2023 adopted revenue, this is from 2024 budget, adopted budget.
Mhm.
The 23 adopted revenue for real property tax is 31,629,000. And we nailed that right on the head for actual revenues.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because they know, I mean, that would be a
It's-
formula.
Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Wow.
So for 24,
Let's say-
32,060,000 is the adopted revenue. Actual revenue is $32,136,402.
It's not a large one.
And then, okay,
2025, you have those.
yeah, I'm looking at the actual as well, but we haven't finished, but
So we were about 90,000 more.
yeah, you're 99.9% on this report, so we'll make it. We'll exceed it, don't you think?
For the adopted revenues.
No, for the, I'm looking at the actual
For
1001. Maybe I'm misreading it, but it looks like you've already collected 99.9%, well, as of October 9th.
Yeah,
So-
that's, yeah, should be right.
Oh, so that's it, this was the last quarter, so you won't get any more.
Oh,
Gotcha,
this
gotcha,
being the
gotcha,
last
gotcha,
quarter.
gotcha.
You know,
Okay.
people still paying late. People still paying now.
So 25 is gonna end up at probably exactly what you budgeted.
We're pretty on target.
So now, 26.
And that's exactly why I lead into my point. If we budget for that and we're achieving our targeted estimate, then our exposure should lower for next year, because we're budgeting $6 million more than 2025. So then why do our exposure is the same from 2025 into 2026 to be lower?
So
When
you
you say
think
exposure,
2026?
That's the uncollected, like people who are not gonna pay.
Mhm.
So we anticipated this year, $2.8 million of uncollected taxes. We're empowered to receive that amount.
Mhm.
If we're saying that we're gonna collect $39 million.
$6 million more.
2026,
Why is it?
then why our exposure is the same? Because we're budgeting, expecting more. So our risk should be less. That's how it works.
I think that risk would be more.
No.
Okay.
We've seen the base tax
The
base.
trends, yeah.
I think
expanded.
actually, did the Corporation Council even tell us that, I don't know, because I could be misquoting, but did she not say that we were getting more taxes in, that we were getting more
Yes.
collection?
Yes, exactly.
In one of her
More people are
presentations.
coming,
Right.
more people are coming forward to pay their taxes and to avoid foreclosure. That what used to happen in the last couple of years, people just ignore it. They don't care, they go to foreclosure. We foreclose on property for $500.
So I guess I'm still, and I'm sorry that I'm being a little confused here.
You wanna carry on?
But I just want to make sure, I just want to follow along what you're saying and hope that I understand it. So are you suggesting, in other words, I think that I would say that the 2026 proposed budget of 39,343 on real property taxes, A 0.001 is good.
Yes,
And we shouldn't
I,
touch that.
I have,
And they definitely have a formula and it seems
Yes.
like the formula is working.
that
He's
is
hitting the
set.
nail on the head. But now I think it's a separate thing that you're using that number to then say, well, then for the next line.
Next one.
1002, you think that 2850
Yeah,
should be
less.
less. And they're actually telling us that they think that it's too low, that we should raise it from 2850.
3309.
Yeah, but we have seen trend of people paying their taxes. We're not seeing no dip in the collection over the last 4 years.
It's still 12.7% of the taxes.
So, it's something that we can revisit. So it's,
But as property values increase, then people are more likely to pay even though taxes increase, they're more likely to pay their taxes, so they're not losing, like you said, so you're not foreclosing for $500. It's not happening. So,
Somebody said that too.
So-
yes.
Corporation Council.
And yes, exactly. We heard that from Corporation Council yesterday, that in terms of coming in paying
It's
the
more
taxes, and we're
progressive.
getting lesser foreclosure. And then we're gonna touch on the revenue line and the housing also, because we have three foreclosure lined up. So process 2 is,
Right,
one is in the court, one is
Right.
almost in the court, and another one is lining up to get there. So we have to deal with 3 set of foreclosure into the next year. So we did talk about that yesterday, so that's gonna touch on my point, so the revenue with the housing sales. So that trend.
Well,
So-
so ask her.
So I still think that we need to reduce our, the allowance for uncollected.
and they think that we should raise.
No, I think they're looking
Right?
at trend, they're looking at
Okay,
trend.
thank you.
They
They think that, they think that we should hold it at the lowest level, the lowest percentage for 2022. But those were tough years,
These are.
okay? Those were years that we were giving people extension and taking off penalties and giving them time to pay their taxes 6 months and,
Even.
yeah.
Can I ask Corporation Council almost to be, Maxine's, Ms. Parash said, with foreclosures number 1, which should close out by the end of the year, for 6 or 7 properties. Do you know how many are in 2 and 3 for next year? Or can you find that out for us?
I can understand.
Sure, thank you.
3.
She said that, so 1 is closing out this year, 1 set of foreclosures, and number
Oh,
6
okay.
or 7 properties in it.
The two
So
and
she
three
has 2
cycles.
more
Yeah, okay.
coming forward in 2026. I mean, if it's 10, 12, 15 properties
It's more
each,
than that.
is it?
And then we're talking about the property in rather
I
significant, so, well, $500,000. So those money will come in into 2026.
So,
And then there's another property we talked about, the, what was
Big one,
that?
he said, right,
The big one
the
here.
big one, up there on.
Yes, so
Yep.
hopefully that they close this year, if not, that will roll into next year. So that's another line I wanted to touch on in terms of revenue, the house sale. I think we need to up that to the 2025 numbers.
My question is, if we're hitting the real property taxes year over year since 2023, what is the impact of budgeting millions of dollars from collected taxes? Where does that go?
It's a line of pushing there, so kind of like in and out
No, but a question for who and for what?
for the budget,
That's not the real.
just in case.
just in case.
Just in case,
Yeah, just in case, no.
like, we.
So I try to, yeah, but I know you're trying to get out there, then why are we putting that line if we're going up and we're collecting 100% or exceeding 100% of
Right.
the estimate? Then why are we putting that number there?
Well,
And that's the reason why I wanted to look at it. Because I think our exposure is limited as we move forward. The tax base is expanding, people are paying their taxes. The housing market is expanding, the house value is going up, as Mr. Farley mentioned, and that is no secret across the city. We have seen, we talked about it yesterday, the price of houses that are being sold on the market, 300,000. That was one of the points that I mentioned about the mortgage tax. If that also drive that mortgage tax.
So you're asking that we lower that amount
What?
from collective?
Yes,
And when we lower that, that goes, okay.
yes.
All right. Make a note.
Also, since we're talking about that, the sale, the home sales. Right now, we budgeted at $3 million last year, this year is 4.5. I would like to see that, kind of remain at 4.5. Because we heard from corporate council, there's an aggressive approach in terms of foreclosure. There will be no lagging like what used to happen. Foreclosure piled up in the office on top of each other, and they can't get them out because of, situations beyond our control. But based on what we were told yesterday, that there's an aggressive approach.
So you want to, for line A2660A, sale homes, you want to take that back to 4.5 million?
Yes.
So, Mr. Rivera, in our discussions, I know we're trying to find out what the revenue is. What number are we trying to get? Excuse me.
Well, it's not a number we're discussing here, and that's my suggestion in terms of where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a consensus, then we can able to, put a total on everything.
Great.
But I want to make sure that, I want it to be we are, kind of thing.
Yeah, but
If there's a pushback, then tell me a number.
Oh,
Yeah, but I think,
so,
with what we heard yesterday, I'm more confident that we can achieve, 4.5 million.
okay.
yeah.
But let me reframe my question. We're trying not to, at least I'm trying to leave it at that we do not exceed that. So, Mr. Buchanan told us do you have an exact number for us, how much that would be?
Or
Two, yes.
what is the tax cap?
No, what we would, in order not to see the tax cap,
Approximately 6 million.
approximately 6 million. So we would have to, reduce it by that or increase revenue. That's what I'm trying to say. What's our goal for tonight in terms of our number?
And that's what we're discussing here, in terms of the revenue.
Yeah, I know, is there a goal? Is there a goal? Is the number we're trying to hit?
We just heard it.
So I'm asking you,
Well,
so
that's
that's
the
the
goal,
number we're trying to
that
hit
is the goal, 6 million. Do we get that, or do we push toward it? I think that's what it is.
6 million. Okay.
So it was, and Mr. Google, again, I'm not a financial analyst, but how you explain it for real property taxes, if that second line, A1002, and it's open for whether we meet that or not, in layman terms, can you just describe why that even exists if we continue to hit?
Meaning the allowance?
Maybe one, two,
The
three.
allowance for.
Claiming the allowance?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good point.
I know having some question is good, but I was described by Mr. Rivera, it's the bank inefficiencies in the city.
And that's not really revenue then, right?
No, it's not.
No.
It's a loss in revenue.
Right.
We're anticipating a loss in revenue,
Sure.
but it's not actual.
So
Being
we're preparing for it, and then if that presents in the budget, that will go from the general fund. So it's a city protecting itself.
Which is why it's
Right.
lower. Yeah.
Almost 5 million.
But at this point in time, we can't overprotect ourselves. We need to claw back a little so that we can able to get some revenue, so that we can offset all this increase that is floating around us.
So please, I'm not.
So what I'll do is I will put together more information, more understandable for the council, for tomorrow's meeting. So everyone has more clarification, what, collected taxes and how that affects and how we count the real property taxes.
And I respect that individuals that might have that lived experience might not want to come and sit in front of us because we're such a happy group of people. If it's an opportunity to come during the day, I will. That means I can have like that one-on-one conversation. I know it's always offered. I just see I make the time to hear that.
I'd love to come during the day.
It's a possibility, I'm sure we can provide, get a little information together, from our nice meeting, that doesn't suffice, and answer the questions, then we look into that for the future.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
I guess I just, looking at the history, I don't know.
The history doesn't tell you nothing. That is the estimate turned into actual, but there's nothing, no movement. It's a
I know.
number that
I
was
just feel
placed
like-
there as an uncollected tax.
I just feel like it seems like our experts are, recommending something and we don't seem to have the same knowledge base, so
I would be cautious of saying, expert. No disrespect, but in terms of the trend, we have to look at the trend. It's a negative number being placed there as an allowance for uncollected tax. We're not,
But if we add it back into the budget, in other words, if we take it away and we say, okay, there's 3 million of the 6 million right there.
5 million.
Oh yeah, because of the two lines.
we're not taking,
If we say zero in both of those lines.
yes,
To get to the 5 million,
3 million right here.
out of the 6 million that we need, that's
Yes.
5 million. And then let's say, don't even fall off your chair, but then we take 1 million more from the reserves, which leaves us with like nothing, by the way, which I would not recommend doing, I'm just saying. There's your $6 million. But I guess, to me, it's just going against, I don't know. I think we would be taking a huge
It's-
risk of doing that, and
Well, that's what
Let's
that's
be,
what I'm saying, I think that's why we're listening.
let's be cautious of what we do because
Right.
we as a body, we have an obligation, and that's what we're doing it, to go through this budget and to make a determination of what do we proceed with.
Mhm.
If, yes, they're expert out there and their recommendation. And if the recommendation is saying this, then we should vote on the budget and move on and not negotiate nothing. It is our job to kind of go through the lines and make sure that we understand what is happening. $2.8 million there, negative. If everything goes well, and everything is going to go well into the next year, that is $2 million there set aside as a negative. It goes back into the general fund. Now, can we afford that at this point in time to be raising 70% taxes to have a high negative like that? I think we need to drop it. I'm not saying to take the whole thing, I'm concerned, we need to agree on a certain number.
So, so that allowance for uncollected taxes in previous years, you're saying has been spot on?
Mhm.
No, right?
For the uncollected taxes.
Yeah.
It's right here.
For,
In 2024, the allowance was 3 million and 20,130, and then the actual,
He's been right on in 2023 and
for
2024.
24 budget, allowance for uncollected taxes, actual, let's see, for the, 21 was 2.8 million, for 22 is 2.6 million. For 23, 3.2, for 24, 3 million.
So he's been right on.
However, $6 million, like the jump.
But that's how I'm factoring my
No,
number.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So like those years were flat years, we had 30, 31, 32, 33. Now we're looking at 39,
So you're talking about because
because
the
the
6 million,
yes.
the increase in 6 million this year?
If that was 34 million, I wouldn't be talking about that. I would be like, nope, can't touch it.
You got a great informative deep dive for us tomorrow, right?
So what
Put
number?
together a little concise summary for the council.
Unless it incorporates some other tax that we're not identifying today.
That's a good point.
Mm.
I think just because you raise it by that amount doesn't mean you're gonna collect that entire real property taxes.
Well, I could take your house.
We'll take the house and then increase the
But then we'll do it.
sale.
Yeah, so I talked to Maxine, so the list of delinquent properties, approximately 75% of the people redeem them. So we don't get them, and I just wrote a summary judgment motion for property that was foreclosed on originally in 2021. So I think it's just very fluid with how quick the courts are in getting back to us. But I do know we at least have 2 properties that are coming back to us. One is gonna be in February, and then one is gonna be in March or April. But I can give you more specifics talking to Maxine. I think the list is just, I would say approximately, to veer on the side of caution, to say 75 or 80% of the people will redeem it within the statutory period of time before we can foreclose.
And that kind of answers the question in terms of the
Taxes and
taxes,
expenses.
the real tax. Like, we're gonna achieve that goal of the estimated 39 million.
Right, because if I mean, there's a lot of variables here, but if we're just moving the goalposts depending on the scenario, then, you know, we're gonna be chasing our tails here.
So what numbers are you on?
I think we should bring it to about $2 million or just under 2 million. I can release about 800 to 900.
For that, we're seeing exceptional PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Let's wait till this number. I'm okay here. We're discussing here. But you know, we as a council will have to deliberate on that. I mean, yes, a recommendation, but you have to realize that all the recommendations from the agency are very cautious, and we as a body, sometimes you have to take risks. And this is what this estimate is risk, in anticipation that we're gonna achieve these numbers. Because we can budget for $39 million, and God forbid, we only collect $30 million.
Well, but that's what I'm
No,
saying.
things happen.
The numbers are real. I mean, and history is showing that it is. I agree with you on that. Like, if we've been collecting what we said we're gonna collect, and now we're saying that we're gonna collect 39, then the formula should reflect us collecting 39. If not, then why does it say 39?
And that's why I have no
So we should
objection
keep it.
against the $39.3 million.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that we
I
should keep the
want us to
39.
Yeah, me
achieve
too.
that. I want us to collect more than that.
But we should
Exposure should be limited.
We should drop the allowance for uncollected taxes.
Yes.
I agree with that, based on the fact that it's.
I'm firm with that. And no report is gonna change my mind.
We could, yeah,
Yeah.
present
But
some.
I'm okay. I'm firm with that, but I'm okay with the report. I'm okay to discuss that.
Mr. Woodbury, have you ever decreased it in the past, did it to any type of?
No, because what happened, you see, if you look at the trend,
Right.
30 million, 31 million, 32 million,
Yeah.
33 million, it was like a couple 100,000, 100,000, no, within a million of each other or less.
Right,
But then if you look 2025 to 2026,
right.
$6 million, it's not a million each.
So I guess another question becomes, since we're not believing the other number, how did we arrive at 33 million?
What? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How did we arrive at that we're going to, excuse me,
The 39 million?
39, how did we arrive that we're going to have that significant increase in real property taxes?
That is, so we have a formula that essentially give the taxable assessed value that we input from, it's a predeterminable preliminary number that we receive from the assessment's office. Factor that in, and it's basically a calculation that shows us, so we're looking for a certain number, since we have a gap of say, 6 million. You fill that gap to, and again, that's how we get the rate, it was what, 1577? With different variables at play too. Pilot comes off, goes on. The accessible values increase, it's all the variables that change the taxable rate.
But the formula doesn't change though. This is the same formula you use now that you used in the past couple of years. Okay,
And
yeah.
hit the nail on the
Yeah.
head.
So then,
Exactly my point.
that's good.
So, yeah, the tax levy is standard, whatever, yes, that's correct, we've been using that all the years, is whatever is recommended from the assessor's office, that's the formula is used with those numbers and calculate the real property tax line.
Okay.
But I think, so I think this particular that was getting to when I was thinking about, I think when I was thinking about wavelength, we use it to chase money instead of holding departments within boundaries. And I know it's difficult with staffing and like increases year over year, but I think that's part of the issue.
What do you mean chasing staff? Chasing staff?
So you say the plan with the shortfall, 5 to 6 million, so it went right to that immediate line.
Of revenue.
That's a substantial.
But it's, instead of identifying other areas to see if there were other inefficiencies.
Well, I think that's what you want.
I think we're going to though. I mean, I think in our,
No, but
we
we're
still have
doing
to,
that because we have to. That wasn't identified in the proposed budget, how I'm interpreting it.
I kind of misread it, if you don't mind, sorry.
can
It's a
I,
good plan.
We're chasing, right, so we're chasing dollars from the community instead of evaluating whether there can be more efficiencies internally.
well, I feel like we're going to do that, first of all, but remember that the department heads were all asked to cut their budgets by 20%. And there were some budgets, as I listened to your overviews before our department heads presented, I think there was a budget that went up 11%. I mean, I know the police department hit the 20% reduction. You know what I'm saying? Like, it varied, like some of them were able
We
to,
asked them to, we looked at year-to-date, that a lot of departments are definitely went down in 2025. There are some driving factors, you have the health insurance retirement.
yeah, well, that.
So that's some things we don't really have. We get those numbers, so retirement we get from the state, so it's all contractual too, so. For example, the police department recently got 383, so that spiked up our FRS numbers for retirement. So there's different factors at play. Departments, they couldn't do to reduce the budgets, they did reasonably. You did have the police department that, if you look at some of those overtime lines, are,
Yeah.
I would say, not legitimate. But that's for, I guess, council to decide.
Expanding on the comment, though, contracts reside with the mayor, and it's a comment that I'm willing to make as soon as he's present, so giving him the discretion of not being at the meeting. We're accountable to what was brought from those discussions, and time again, the statement is, give me your allegiance, these are conversations I'm having, respect the outcome. That's what we're told, so we're here based on 2 outcomes, in part, by the police.
Absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that because they talk about the police, the overtime line is low. But that what was presented to us. But the council did not even touch that line or even, I don't hear anybody talking about that line. So I want to make that very clear among us here and whoever's listening. That number was presented to us, so if we're saying that it's low, then it's question should be directed at the mayor and the person who created that budget.
But we also know that line isn't accurate. It's not, right? It's what's presented to us, but we know the function. Again, the presentation is one thing, but the actual practice is different. And that's what we need to know, like where the transfers are. So if I come in and say, I have this line for overtime, and this is true for all departments, which is why I wanted the information as where the transfers are going. What's happening is we're saying in line A, we were budgeted $100,000 in overtime. And then in line, and then, but the actuality, when the year closes out, we spent $150,000 in overtime. And then we go, well, where'd the extra $50,000 come from? Oh, it came from line C and D from these two positions we never filled. So the thing is, if we're not looking at the real numbers, we're not having a real conversation. So
We will never get the real number. Because regardless of if that line came into us with $2 million and any department exceed that line, they will go to the other lines and where they are
Right.
leftover money, and they will take that money
But that's,
and substitute it into that line. And
fortunately,
I think that's really hard from the department.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's kind of, it's not a,
Yeah.
we're starting off from.
but that is
In
budgeting.
the
I mean,
packet too.
I'm sorry.
For council to review, the back of it, they're also transferred for year, for the whole year for 24 and for year to be for 25. So maybe not something the council will do tonight, but you need to take your time and look at each line item.
It's from the
Go ahead.
I guess, I don't know, I mean, that's budgeting, right? I mean, whenever at our jobs, when we present a department budget to someone, you be realistic, you be conservative, you ask, hopefully for stuff that, maybe you're not gonna get. And that at the end, I mean, I don't know all the accounting terms, but I mean, at the end of the day, if my department budget was $200,000, I can't even remember, in one line, I missed it by 20 grand, but I went over another line by 20 grand, my bottom line is still gonna be what I projected to be in my budget.
That's exactly what we're trying to get at.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
what I'm
fine, that's budget. I mean, that is just budgeting, it is just
It is budgeting, however.
everywhere.
Yeah, however, we make decisions based on the priority of the line. In other words, we make decisions saying like, oh, well, overtime is super necessary for these reasons.
Right,
We might say this other line C doesn't necessarily have that same priority as overtime, for example. So when we put together the budget based on the information that's presented to us, that's how we're making our decisions. So it is, I understand if you're saying it evens out, but really, if we know that line C is available with money in it, then maybe that line C money goes someplace else. So we just have to have the real numbers in front of us to make a better informed decision. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's not gonna
And that's
affect the
not,
bottom line.
But sometimes,
but it can affect how we prioritize. And that does affect the bottom line.
most of the time it's salary line, and someone will
That's
retire
definitely
in a
right,
year, so every
definitely.
6 months,
Mhm.
available salary and benefits for that
Mhm.
line. And, some, in and out that people, not available on that line in each department.
Mhm.
So that money there, that 6 month, 8 month, whatever that time line is, will go towards, as a cushion towards those. So there is no staff of service. So there wouldn't be a staff of service provided by any department in the city because that line is not funded.
That's right,
Right.
It will,
we're still gonna have to
yeah,
pay.
exactly, it
We
will
have to pay
happen
more.
regardless. There is money always in every department to help cushion
So
any overrun.
So I think it would be to have a more genuine conversation to say, this is our cushion budget. Don't call it space rocket line C if that's not what it is. That's what I'm saying.
I think if we want to, then but then we'd be like saying, we're gonna have to give another $1 million to the police overtime budget, or we're gonna have to give another $1 million to the fire department
Exactly.
overtime budget, but
But we're saying
Then
that
we're-
anyway. But we're saying that anyway with a wink and an eye.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I know, but I mean, we're trying to stay within a certain,
and that's the
I mean, I'm happy to do the real number, but
They
then you're
can't.
gonna have to have a higher tax rate than 17 point something %.
But I just feel like.
I think we're going around in the same circle here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
every department, they have a budget,
right,
and there are many lines that they will not utilize 100% in any given budget at any given year.
well, that's why we're going through.
And that's why they have, in every department, they have cushion. So if you come to me and say, well, I wanted $1 million, but I only budget for 850, then you were asked to make a reduction in your overall budget
Mhm.
because of the situation
Mhm.
that is in front of us. So people need to understand to live within their means and to kind of do what they have. And if you're a shortfall, there will be lines that you can go after and recoup some money and help you keep floating and
I agree.
maintain this orbit. So I'm not even worried about someone talking about, well, we have a shortfall from
Right.
a line or two.
I agree.
At the end of the year, it all evens out.
We hope.
Oh, it does happen.
Money.
So just to add to the
No, I mean overall, the overall. total.
Ms. Patrick, you mentioned that the budget came in at 20% across all departments?
No,
I
no,
don't think
I
so.
didn't say that. I
You-
said
you-
that that's what they were asked to
They
do.
were asked.
And they were,
That
but
was the goal.
Oh, because,
That was the goal to, so we didn't reduce the tax cap.
but that didn't happen. No, okay, I want to clear that because they were asked to that.
we heard that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you started every
Yeah,
department head conversation with what the increase or the decrease was, in your general, what was that called? The general overview of each department.
so let's wrap up this,
I tried. I couldn't go that
this
fast.
allowance, this allowance for uncollected. We're gonna wait till tomorrow, have the report, but I think this is a doable line for us to look at seriously in terms of the trend from 43.3 million to 49.3 million dollars. That is a $6 million difference. I have it as follows for tomorrow. Any other questions, Sam? Did we cover all of that?
The only thing that you didn't touch on was when will the tow contract be negotiated? I don't know if the law department has a copy to know when everybody,
Let me ask, who has?
So,
Maya.
so what we, yesterday we saw in revenue line, is that, so our A17, 89 in revenue, the surcharge doubled for a towing surcharge and it doubled for the impound line. So my question was, why is that? Like, what's happening to justify that?
Yeah, I got that
So,
question.
based on that, you mentioned it prior, and went over the, park and revenues, briefly. The chief indicated that, new tow contracts would have to be negotiated. The council would have to review it and stuff.
And so, and this is projected based on that
The new contract.
new contract, the possibility of a contract in the clerk, right?
So but that's back to your question then, when are they gonna know, right? That was
Yeah.
your original question, but we don't know that.
So I'd say this is sincerely the same conversation we had with waste last year. I feel very comfortable with the hypothetical of when we'll have the discussion, when we'll be able to enforce it.
What you talking about, the tow contract?
Yes, which we have heard how it's currently implemented in the city. Trying to forecast the conversation that may happen because contract discussions go plainly and smoothly at all times, right?
That was sarcasm, people. Okay.
So again, I think going off of the assurances that we've gotten before, I think at some point we need to call a spade a spade. I think, what does it say, fool me once, shame on me, or listening to historical precedents that we always highlight. I think historically, this council has been presented with, right, things are going to present the way that they are, this will happen, what happens when those fall through, and the whole, and then we fill it with general fund balance. I'm saying at this point, we should not continue that. If we do not have a contract in place, we should not be anticipating something. If those conversations haven't at least even started.
At least not double. I think that's a pretty.
Okay, I have to agree with that we were anticipating that people that we're speaking to are gonna say, oh yes, I don't mind increasing this by this much. And what if they say no? What do we do? And I think it's interesting how we got to double.
That would be a question for the chief.
Okay, that's significant, double everything.
So that's the question we need the answer to.
So I guess what, are you recommending that we, both you, Mr. Farley and Mr. Williams recommend that we not double the amount in terms of revenue?
So I think the question is, the first question is the question for the chief to say, like, why double it instead of increasing it, why increasing it, but double? I think that's a fair question. And then the second question would be, when do we anticipate these contract negotiations to
Start.
take place.
Sure, if they're available tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
to get in touch on that, all those questions.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Do I remember something that we had maybe in executive session or somewhere? Different contracts or for this particular line. Some
I don't know,
companies were being, no, okay.
I don't remember you talking about
John.
someone.
We did get something, one company.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they had the property.
Oh, but that wasn't about the fees.
Well,
Yeah, but that might have, I don't,
I mean, that's why when they get here, we just ask them, and then
Yeah.
we'll know like how
and
we
that's
did.
not the one executive session.
Yeah, we just ask them how we got there.
Like, you're right, I remember now.
Somebody else have a hand?
Not about that one. About, for me.
Ms. Porter, you had some recommendation?
Yeah, so really wanted to visit the online aid 1081, other came in the York taxes. Our increase was, from 24 to 25, we adopted, we were like on 136,000, I believe. And then now we're going up 300,000, but, my concern here is that we're continually increasing taxes on residents. And then our pilots are not really increasing at that level. So, currently we have 154 pilots in the county. They're not all in the city, but we do have them. And so how do we, and by the way, 3 months ago, I started asking for information about the pilots because I knew we were gonna be here and haven't gotten everything that I need, so it's take some time. I think we really need to talk about how we anticipate revenue from the pilots. Now, we may not be able to change things in time to change the revenue in this budget. However, I also feel like we're gonna need to go more into fund balance, quite frankly. And so my calculation here is going into the fund balance, how do we replenish it? I say that pilots is the place that we should be looking in terms of that. So, I don't know that we can, I'm waiting for all the information about the pilots to see what's dropped off and if we can even be putting more revenue in here. Hopefully I'll have that for the end of this week. But if I don't, I'm really pushing for it if I don't, but we should talk about if we have to go, not below 15%, but if we have to go more into the fund balance in order to fill the gaps in this budget, that how do we then replenish the fund balance? And that, for me, is one of the areas that we need to do that.
So, Mr. McMurray,
Yeah, please.
so as it currently stands, that would involve a conversation with the Metroplex in a way,
Definitely.
which I think could happen between now and the budget season. And I don't know if we discuss removing or including a factor to those discussions with the council, like removing the ability of Metroplex into these agreements, or putting in place stipulations where they have to inform the tax assessor the initial stage of when these are conceptualized, or if we can just pause it indefinitely.
Well, I would say pause it because we need development, we need people to come in and open these business, but I agree with you, we need to revisit it. We need to,
No, not pause the conversation, pause, pilots.
but no,
Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's responding to.
We shouldn't suggest that because it will affect investment. Yes, every municipality, they do have these programs, but I think, yes, we need to revisit it, we need to get more involved. We need to know what's happening, we don't need to wait until every budget, and then we're seeing the numbers and seeing how many pilots are we having. I
like
agree
I
with
said, I started asking this question 3 months ago, so it wasn't this one down here.
that. So,
And so,
You did,
I'm going to say that, I don't know if we can pause it, but I understand that, that's what development, in order to welcome development to our city.
yes,
But the whole purpose when we started with the pilots, when there was a time when we needed really a lot of development. But as the mayor currently states, we're the envy of so many places, so do we still need to do pilots at the level that we're doing them? Is really a question. And how much, and are our pilots extending what the recommended time period is? So, yes, Metroplex is extremely involved and the decision maker, frankly, on the pilots, but that impacts the entire city. So we do need to have more involvement in how this is. And also I'd like to see, like, this is the recommended, and so this number came from the assessor's office as well?
This is in conversation with supervisor receipts. I believe there were between 6 and 9 additions to pilots. That's why this number increased by.
It's 9, I wrote it down when we had we asked the question.
Nine
During one of our
pilots?
presentations, I wrote down 9 new pilots, that's what that number represents. I mean, it's obviously an economic development tool, it's how Schenectady did get to what's the thought. And it is a Metroplex negotiation. You know, I read the book on Metroplex, but you know, I guess if you wanted to have Mr. Gillen came in, he did send an email to you that listed all the pilots and listed information about it,
Yeah.
but he would be the person that you would need to have
I've
come
been in
in
touch with him and just, he did send that, but we and corresponded with other.
In county too. I mean, you'd have to talk to the county and
Well, we as a
They're all
city need to
involved in-
look into that, and yes, we have to talk to the county, but are we really getting what we should be getting in these pilots?
I think you have to, again, I'm not the expert, but I mean, I think talking to them, but I mean, I think you'd have to balance, do we want to continue to try to bring new businesses into town? Especially, you know, as businesses leave, as businesses grow, as businesses outgrow their pilot. Do we want to keep having that economic development happening, or do we want to pause it, to use the word that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We have to, it's all one big puzzle, right? It's all big. How does our education system come into play? How does our housing market come into play? You know, all of it works together in terms of how we bring people and businesses to town. So it's a very large.
I
Yeah.
think over the years, and I think we have echoed this over time and time again in this council here, that we need to get more involved. And I appreciate Mr. William bringing us back for discussion here, you know, at this time. Ms. Porfield, you know, so we have talked, I can remember as long as in this council here, that we need to get more involved because we don't know what's happening. And to ask for reports and we're not getting it, then that's a no-no for us. We should be having those reports accessible to us at any given time. And there should be no reason why the council shouldn't get those reports. So we should follow up and make sure that report is available and share it to the council. But I think in terms of, I don't think we want the staff investment for coming. But I think we need to get a more better understanding of what's happening. And is it the right numbers that they're given to these businesses? Can we get more? The time, I mean, like look at 5 years ago versus now. We're very competitive now.
Yes, we do.
5 years ago or 10 years ago, when people were
15,
saying, okay,
20.
come invest, we'll give you whatever you want.
Right.
Now we're a hot bed for investment now. So it's two different ball game here. So I think we need to find out to make sure we're getting our fair share in terms of this pilot and to continue it. To make sure that the school and the city and everybody in the county is getting the right amount of money from these programs. Mr. Farley.
Excuse me, I just want to make a clarifying point with something that you said, that we weren't getting reports. We did get, there was a group asked, we did get a report. However, it did not contain the information that I was seeking. So we did get a.
Oh, sorry.
So I just,
So
you know, we're on camera, we didn't say.
can you please, you should reply to the email and just kind of like, you know, ask them.
I've already done that, just but I just want to make sure that everybody understands I did ask for something and what I got was not the information I was seeking. And so I asked for additional information, and right now, the assessor's office is actually putting something together as well. She just said it's gonna take a while because, so just for information's sake, the contracts are negotiated and then given to the assessor. So it's not even like we make have some say in it. It's all
Right.
done, tied with a ribbon and delivered.
Right.
So that needs to change, and I'm not sure, anyway.
Well, we're the council, we can discuss that and try to get a better understanding of what is our responsibility. Do we have capacity to do any change and to kind of reinforce it? And how do we get information prior to, as you said, tying the ribbon?
So I guess the point I'm trying to make, I think we're heading down that road, is that it's not just about us getting the information after the fact. It's like, where are the checks and balances because right now we're here trying to figure out how these things impact the city. So my question again, and I know it might sound like a basic question, but I think that sometimes we can ask those basic questions. Why don't we have the ability to approve pilots or disapprove pilots? Why is it structured like that? I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why,
I'm sure.
but again, a lot of times when we look at things how they're done, it's like, well, that's the way we did it for the last 10 years. And now we're looking at a very different city right now than we did 10 years ago. So in order to use that same formula that we've been using 10 years ago, makes no sense. So
And that's what I just echoed.
But maybe they aren't.
5-10 years ago to compare to now.
Well, maybe they're not using the same formula, but they're still using the same decision-making formula.
Correct.
That's not giving our perspectives. So how do we change that? That's the question. Any ideas?
I'm next, right? I was next.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know if you were done though.
Yeah, I was just saying, any ideas how we change that?
Go ahead.
Well, I
then I
guess
get-
my suggestion would be that, we invite Mr. Gillen to come to a meeting or we also could find out, I don't know if their meetings are open. I think they
Yes.
are, but
Yeah.
in other words, we could go to their Metroplex board meeting, or anybody could, and, ask these questions of the Metroplex board and, observe it, the way you would anything that any of us go to try to learn more. But those would be my two suggestions, that we invite folks here to talk to us about that, maybe a special meeting or during a committee meeting, I guess. Or we probably could be invited or ask if we could attend a Metroplex board meeting and find out ask some questions at those. So those, go to the source. And then I think also you'd have to probably ask Mr. Gardner to come in from the county, because he obviously has quite a leadership role in this process as well. The land,
You think that you think that he has a.
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Negotiating those contracts?
I don't know if he has a leadership role in it, but I'm just saying.
That's what I was gonna say. I think we're overstepping here. We
might be
need
able
to
to
find
get some
out,
insight.
we need to find out as the body here, what is our roles and responsibility with regards to the pilot? And then we move forward. Because we're not gonna go fishing for information from XYZ. What is our roles and responsibility as a council, and then take it from there. Maybe we
have that conversation.
we have some roles that maybe we don't know about it.
So, yes, and not even. Oh, sorry.
I good. Oh, uniform. Okay, sorry.
So I think the additional question is not just defining what are our roles and responsibilities as they currently exist. I guess the question is, why are our roles and responsibilities the way they are as it currently exists? Because, and I don't think that, these agreements are made somehow. Sometimes it's like, oh, there's state legislation that says this, and it's like, oh,
True.
that's why it's done that
True.
way. And sometimes it's like, because we were in a tough spot and we really needed this help, and now we're just 2 or 3 people are deciding, making these big decisions, and that's not so it's like, not only what our responsibility is, why. So maybe that's even something Corporation Council could start to look at and say, how do we decide that?
And I was about to say this is something that we should be, if you're passionate about it here, we should bring it as an item on the committee meeting. And Corporation Council will kind of do some research for us. And, kind of like, okay, where do we stand in terms of this? Because, just to add to that, the IDA, we know that the IDA, City Council is responsible for, putting members there. How much of us know that we have that responsibility to recommend a member to that board?
How many, but I think there's a limit, but I just, I don't want like to really dive that deep into.
Because it's not really about, yeah, we can't do anything about it right now.
But, so, there is an organizing document, and so I appreciate the saying that we should go to have a corporation council, but I'm always of the opinion that all of us can do our own research. So there is a document that, an organizing document for Metroplex. I can share it with all of you so that we can read through and then be more well informed as we continue in this discussion. So, and make sure that we're getting everything we need. But again, it circles back to me for how can we increase the amount that we're getting in pilots so that it's helping our budget. Because essentially what's happening without doing that is that our residents are absorbing more of the costs for that, as opposed to the developers we're all benefiting, but who are getting the initial benefit, so.
Yeah, so I was gonna highlight that, in my opinion, why this bell that Ms. Porterfield has been ringing for the past few months is sounding louder now is because out of the many functions that we have, our most vital to the city is the budget. So like leveraging the conversations that we're required to have, the force of response is part of the calculation that we all have to make. So I think putting out the request of having Mr. Gillen here and in the next few days before we are required to have a determination presented to the city, the mayor to review. I think that is what we have at our mercy. Because what I've come to find is once removed from the budget, sometimes we're given second consideration.
That's not a bad idea. I think we need to move forward and not drop it, because many times we discuss it here, and sometimes I don't pick it up and move forward.
Just to throw a change up.
The
Management, Eric,
Can you please share that?
But I don't think it should affect our budgeting.
You have copies?
I'm gonna put them.
Please.
For next
Thank you.
year.
Okay.
Thank you so
You mean
much.
for the future?
Committee, right.
I'm sorry,
So.
I can't call it.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I mean, what's done is done. Moving forward, definitely we should be getting more money off of a pilot contractually, whoever does these pilots. If we want more and more active role in it moving forward, I think we should look into that. But as far as having Mr. Gillen with our budget proceedings, I can't see the sense of that. Is that what we wanted?
Well, I mean, you
Yes.
earlier, so what's done is done, that's not. We're deciding what we're doing.
We
Moving
can't get
forward,
more
but
pilots than,
today,
Hold on.
right,
sorry.
right? Just help me out here. So
I mean, I can't help you understand the point, you tell me what you're not understanding.
So Ms. Porterfield, how much more money do you think we could get from these pilots for this year's budget?
So, I'm not saying that we could get it this year, I'm not saying that.
So
What I
moving
am saying,
forward,
what
yes.
I am saying is that I feel like we're gonna have to go into the fund balance. And if we're going to have to do that, then we're gonna need a way to fund that. So this to me is one. So the reason I asked for the pilot report is to see, like, really, do we, and, it's too late now to change any of it. Well, I don't know what the agreement said, because it's conceivable that there are pilots that are still getting their pilot when actually their pilot agreement has expired. So,
Possibly, yes.
it's very possible, and, I went to a training about this, and the other thing is that pilots are 10 years, so what I'm looking for is how long are pilots, do we have any that have expired and they're still getting their pilot, and do we automatically get that money? But I need the report to do that, and I guess conceivably we could, if that's the case, put money in this budget, I don't know.
but that's
Go
where.
ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Williams.
Case in point, this number can change throughout the year based on conversations that are had absent the council. So that's truly the relevance of having this now. And I don't think it is unrealistic to have Mr. Gillen present here
Right.
in the next few days
Oh.
to ascertain how this budget line functions. Because quite honestly, if we do not understand it, how can you pass a budget without a clear understanding of how each line functions? Ultimately.
Ms. Patrick, and then go ahead.
Yeah, I think that would be good to have him come, if we can get him to come over the next couple of days, and see if there's, and maybe, I don't know if our finance people know if there's flexibility on that number, or if that's just a number given to us. And even like, you know, what I said earlier, I mean, I think we do need to understand, you know, who is involved in, you know, maybe, I said maybe Mr. Gardner is, I don't know if that's for sure or not, I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I think having Mr. Gillen come.
Let's avoid calling.
No, exactly. So what I'm saying is, I don't know, and I don't know if I'm accurate, so I agree that having someone come in, like Mr. Gillen, right?
It
And
can't
kind of
hurt.
explain the process and talk to us about it.
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Would be a good thing.
Understanding the pilot and how it works.
Yes.
Is going to be beneficial to all of us.
Right.
And that's how it's a starting point for us to say, what is our roles and responsibility, and what do we do move forward into the next year, or this budget, or into the next
Yep.
budget? How do we move forward?
Yeah, because, I'm sorry.
It's one of the things that we, over years, we ask. We will get the report, and that's all we're getting, and the numbers.
So, and I think it's important that we recognize that even though we're dealing with the budget 1 year at a time, the implications of our budget don't fall within the calendar year.
That's right.
So
Mhm.
we are here today based on prior decisions and practices. So I think it's completely appropriate for us to be talking about that, having that conversation now, because there is a possibility, because you don't know what you don't know, there might be a possibility to where there is money that can enter in, we can increase revenue in this budget based on that conversation. But at least we can look towards our future forecast to say, okay, because there will be another budget process happening at this table a year from now. And our responsibility is really to ensure the future. This doesn't just happen in a silo for this budget. So to Mr. Miller's point, I think it's very relevant, and Ms. Porter's point is extremely,
So,
as well as Ms.
oh, I'm
Patrick's.
sorry,
No, I just wanted to make sure we were all on the same page.
So between 23 and 24, the actuals, the pilots, the difference was $75,061. And
Which way?
so we increased by that, just by $75,000. So I think, you know, just looking around, we've had a tremendous amount of development within that time frame. So $75,000. And then the next time, it was 130,000. So
From
every time from 20, well, we don't know the actuals yet, that was the adopted, so we anticipating that we would get another
Gotcha.
130. So I don't know the actuals, and we don't have all the year dates, I think, we mentioned that the other day.
All the year dates should be in the packet provided on the
So-
Thursday.
Right, so, which I have here, so that's why we really need to be taking, those weren't significant, in my opinion, those weren't significant increases, given the level of development that we have.
So what we need to do, Derek, I think you can help us with this report, can you reach out to Metroplex, ask them for a report? We should also, when we ask for the report for the pilot, we should also ask for the last 2 or 3 years in terms of the pilot, how many was added, how many dropped off, and how many renewals. Because that's what shape the numbers in where we are. Because we may look the number up or down, but we don't know if any dropped off, any added, any extension, and how much was released to the tax base for the full SS tax. So I think that report would be helpful.
Okay, I mean, I've asked for that, but we can, and I can tell you what the response was, but we can ask again, perhaps coming from the more.
Well, that's why I asked, Finance Commission to ask for that report for the last 3 years, including 2025. Total pilot, new pilot, how many was dropped off and how many hit the regular tax base.
Actually, we're already over what we did anticipate in 2025.
Yeah.
We're at 105%.
But I do think it's worth noting because individuals listening to this conversation at the table and at the room, when certain comments are made about these second considerations, I know we cannot put individuals on the spot, but I would openly want to hear what those responses have or have not been when those requests were submitted.
Yeah, so we can get those reports and we can reach out. Commissioner, is that something that you can do or we have to do that as a council? So we tell to the
I would recommend both.
Okay. We have tomorrow and Friday.
So you'd be reaching out on our behalf and.
Commissioner is going to vote.
And let me just,
And you also have a report that you.
I would say I recommend the council and myself.
Both reach out.
Yes, okay.
so
So
I
which
have-
board of you are going to refer back to your report and can you?
I'm gonna forward the report that I have, that's not everything, because there's, as I said, there's 154. And I'll just forward the report that I have, which is not, so for all of you to actually look at that while he's asking for that.
We did this electronically too. What you just gave
Yes,
us.
subject.
So I'll do that right now, just put it there.
It's okay, I'll let Eric speak about the management report.
Perfect, okay.
Hello, council members, just 4 points I want to make about this. One is that to fulfill the request that we had here tonight, I created it from scratch. I created this document from scratch. So it was done in a very, very peaceful manner. So if you do see a typo, please don't hold me,
Now, I'm impressed that you're able to do that.
To the 2024 adopted expenses, if you look at your 2026 proposed budget, it excludes every single position line, goes into just a department cost. So I had to pull those manually also.
Oh, geez, Louise.
3, on this second page, the percentages where you see 8 and 5% respectively. On the 24 to the 25 and the 25 to the 26, the comparison lines, again, respectively. Those numbers are not representative, which will go into my 4th point, which is when you look at management and vacuum, you're not getting an accurate number. For example, if a management position existed in 24 and not in 26, that is going to mess around with those percentages. Moreover, if a management leaves the management position, goes into a union job or vice versa, that will also change it. The only way to compare apples to apples is to look at all positions, regardless if it's management or if it's union. So this total line should be taken with a grain of sand. Thoughts, so.
we'll take the same.
Gotcha.
So you can see, just for example, you see the paralegal 2 line, you don't see it in 24 and 25, but it is in 26, so numbers, percentages will be a little different based on the totals. Total fills in each budget year, adopted year.
And try to keep it as similar to Mr. Commissioner Luke's report and for digestibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any question regarding this report? The numbers look high, but we just have to look at the fill, the positions now. By the 80,000, 79,000 position part and things like that. So that driving the numbers up. So if you exclude those positions, it will drive you towards the increase. Ms. Porter, if you want to continue?
Oh, so the other thing that I was looking at, was Canada's excise tax, which went down. As I stated yesterday, there are, we have 7 in the city. And what I have been able to determine is when they came, and Miss Michael did provide me with finding it amongst all the papers, a list of, I was trying to determine when they came on, when they came into the city. And so she provided me with a list, 30-day list of when they, 30 days and they're going to be on board. So, up to there, and 29. So, okay, so this lists more like we had, there's one dispensary that's been there since 23. And some of these dispensaries they're not even open yet. There's one that's been there since 24, the People's Joint opened in 24. So I was trying to see if there's money that we aren't accounting for, or when these came on board. It looks like we only had one new one open in 25. All of these have been open since 23. I don't think they could have opened in 23 though. I think they may have said they wanted to, but it took a while. So I need the exact. I know. Yeah, we can't find out the exact date that they opened, and that's what we need to know. I went on the Office of Cannabis Management website. I also called. So I'm trying to find out if they actually opened in the city, so we can better determine whether how much money we could be getting beyond 700,000 down from the prior year. People, in order to get your cannabis license, people could submit their paperwork, and it could be a while before they ever got it. The one at the harbor, for instance, submitted their paperwork for quite some time ago. But there was all the stuff, legal stuff tied up, and they only recently opened. So we need to know exactly when they open, so we can have a better determination going forward how much money we need to get.
Main Street too, I think, just
Like
like
that.
Main Street, I think, opened, like, at least.
Right, they applied for their store paperwork, and that's all we have, what they applied here. And even on the website, it doesn't tell you the actual date, so we need to know the actual dates that these opened, and then I think we can have a better determination of what possible revenue. The one I mentioned on Harborside Drive, they sent their paperwork in 23, but they didn't open in 23. So we need those actual dates. I've asked the Office of Cannabis Management, do you know any other way we can get those? And they actually open the businesses, with the information residing in the front of the building.
I would say the codes department might have the answer to that.
Certificated use will give you the information, and codes will have all that information.
Okay. So we can, I think, and I'll have that ready by tomorrow. So if we look at when people actually open, I think we should take a look at that line and see.
As a matter of fact, the law department will have that information also.
Yeah,
Because they're the one who sign off on the certificated use.
Yeah, I've seen codes will definitely, we can find that information.
All right, do you want the list of the, I can give you a list of the,
Yeah.
Yep, I'll do that. Of the establishments in the city.
Go ahead, please.
So just to add to that discussion, just so everybody's, the year to date is only 302,477 and some cents. So.
Half a year, right?
Oh, that's happy. Okay, thank you for that.
Quarterly payment.
All those taxes,
Yeah.
all
I
those
should have
outside
taken that
taxes
note.
are quarterly.
So it's 3/4 or 2?
Four.
That's 302.
Oh, there's 2 quarters there.
Only 2 quarters.
So it should be, okay, so then we might be on track.
Yes.
Or we will be on track, okay. Thank you, sorry about that.
Continue, please.
So, no, that was it, I think that was it for my, no, not ready. Thank you. I had a question, no, somebody already asked about the franchises.
Yes.
And the marriage licenses.
I do have a question about death and birth certificates. Revenue anticipated with. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it.
Yeah,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
The towing surcharge, I'm just going through the ones, but some of the stuff has already been discussed. So I don't need to like bring it back again. I do want to kind of question the 2,300,000 in speed cameras. With only the anticipation that it's going to be some, how, was this question really answered, and we talked about how do we get that number?
I can provide you what I was given from the police department and their analysis. They based it off from my knowledge, they felt what we received in 2 years, and it was over $6 million. So what they explained to me, that they were anticipating less than $3 million a year, and they felt comfortable with 2.3. Maybe this could be another point to bring up and manage staff. Discuss those other questions with council.
And you could send us the analysis, like you said, whatever they sent you.
I don't have the analysis on me.
No, I mean, you can send it to us.
They could, no, well, I think they have it. They never provided me. I just had a verbal conversation with them.
Okay, so could you request that for them and then share it out with us before they?
No,
Okay, so I think that was it. All the other questions, points that I had were covered by the council members, so I am. Let's see if I can make, thank you, Mr. Monroe.
since we're there, the bus patrol safety fines. I mean, we've seen it started in 2024. And then 25, we budgeted 600. And then we're dropping it in 2026. So we talked about it yesterday in terms of being compliant.
Right.
But how much of that is, true? We're gonna still have people, passing these buses and so we are lowering the number because of the trend of what the actual is this year.
Yes, year to date, about 600,000 made in.
That's the number.
Oh, sorry.
So they were basing the numbers on year to date and from what we received in the previous year.
610.
And I think that explanation makes sense. As you enforce, there is a level of compliance, and I think that was the hesitancy of relying on fees as continuous revenue generating lines. That's naturally you want people to adhere. You have less enforcement, which is a balance. So definitely proceeding with caution.
No pun intended.
All right, question, and then I'm going to.
Well, just some consideration, so I know it seems like we're based our numbers based on what happened in Albany, but I also know that Albany has been in a lot of litigation around being able to enforce tickets given by the traffic cams. I don't know exactly, that might be more something for Corporation Council to talk about, or maybe research for us a little bit, but I think that I'm sure, if we bring in millions, it will certainly offset our legal costs, but I think it's just something to consider. Because I know that there is, people have been successful in challenging tickets based on how, the function of how they've been given.
Any other question? It's the total.
Yes, thank you. I was just,
Truly,
no, just one line here for city clerk birth and death
what
certificates.
number is that, please?
A 254580 over. So with the trend down from actuals 23 to 24, we've increased by over $30,000 projected for this year. Just wondering, it's really no births left in the city of Schenectady. I know you put in to raise the death certificates, but to $15, but that hasn't.
We didn't do that, so we didn't increase birth or death.
Pardon me?
We didn't increase birth or death fees.
Oh, I thought you were putting in
We
something.
wanted to, but then because of the national climate with record, people being able to obtain their records, council did not go forward and pass legislation. because it would have to be a home rule.
Right.
Yeah,
Others
so
are
that
put
didn't
it
work.
home. Okay,
Yeah.
so I just wonder how you're projecting an extra $32,000 in death certificate fees.
We're at 81,120.
So, yeah, look at the actual.
Oh, the projected.
The actual is
81.
The
81. So based on the actual, that's what you
Okay.
kind of forecast into the next year.
Okay.
So,
I think.
so that report that you're looking at 81,000 is September, the end of September. So
October 9th. Oh, yeah, yeah, right.
it's
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I keep
September
forgetting
data.
that. I see.
Yeah.
So if we,
We should reconsider.
I mean, maybe
upping
make
that
it a
fee
little
sometime.
higher, but
Mr. Farley. Next year.
I mean, I think that would be like a very small increase if you wanted to change it from 100 to 120 or something like that, but, and also can't predict. It's not a line that we can predict.
It might look like a small amount, but it helps offset the costs in each department
Yeah.
to pay for, services. Okay. Mr. Torla, anything
No,
else?
I'm good.
No suggestion?
No.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I got all my questions answered. Well, and this has been very informative, but
Yeah.
my initial questions got answered. Thank you.
So what do we do in terms of adding revenue, offsetting costs, reducing the proposed, tax increase? And also look at, the waste, proposed waste fee. Because, whatever we do, it has to be driven by increased revenue and offsetting costs. Go ahead, Mr. Leonard.
We're gonna recommend that we have 2 more meetings planned, and it sounds like we have some outstanding just presentations to receive. I think we can put a lot of, onus on getting those individuals in to speak to those issues or primary concerns we have. I think we end tomorrow's meeting talking about numbers. I think we can go into our final scheduled meeting on Thursday with the intent to have their.
Right.
Friday, yeah.
Friday, like, sort of last meeting on Friday.
Mhm.
Having the kind of running is just a customary, understanding just to see what numbers look like. I didn't listen, I know.
Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Well, I think, okay, I mean, I don't know if we're done for today.
No, we're
Yeah, well,
not, we're still doing
And
around
to answer your
table.
question, I think, we still could talk about the fund balance.
Still,
Well, we should, because whatever we do will affect it, up or down. It's a matter of concern whether we talk about the fund balance, but you know what? Yes, we would like to have, $15, $20 million in there, but, those days are not today. It was the good old days. Now we put money set aside to use for a cushion like this to help offset, these increase. But then we have to be cautious of how much do we draw from from that fund.
Just circling back on fund balance. So for this year, we're essentially using 50% with approximately 12 million. We have the 5.4 plus the 700,000 of encumbrances from 24 to 25. So there's about 6.1 of unassigned fund balance. We're anticipating 2 million currently, so that brings it down to 4.1 approximately. And then we're in negotiations with the fire department and 1037. So whatever's negotiated with the council approves, that'll come out of fund balance.
Now, you mentioned,
That's right.
the restricted.
Mhm.
Are there anything in the restricted, we can take back? Like POs and things like that, unused, those were like locked in?
Restricted is, it's locked in gas page 54.
but we could reserve.
Sir?
Reserve of funds.
So you have restricted and you have assigned. The assigned is the 5.4 plus this one. And the encumbrances. And then I give you the list of all restricted.
Yes.
And then we have to have those in place.
Yes.
They provided us with a document.
Yeah.
Too.
The POs and everything.
Yeah, we do, yeah, I just want a clarification, so we're, like, let's say, discussing the fund balance, so it's good that we talked about that also.
So Derek, so what is the fund balance that we can pull from? What's that number? Because it seems like you just started to kind
Yeah,
of.
so as of now, with input of the proposed budget, 2 million, we only have 4.1 to play with. And again, if depending what the fire meeting is negotiated at, we're in mediation currently. And with 1037, their contract's at the end of 25 and 2025. Whatever they're negotiated at is directly gonna affect our fund balance numbers.
We can't even get projections based on prior things.
What do
So
we have to
for
do to the executive
example,
I mean, I guess we could go.
Okay.
Go ahead, let's finish off.
but for example, just say, for the fire department, just say they got a 3% increase, probably 600,000, maybe more.
And we can,
But the fire department budget is smaller, relatively smaller than the police,
I'm talking about the fire department.
fire departments. So you're comparing the police number with 600.
No.
Oh,
No,
you're
no, no,
comparing
no.
with their number, okay.
What about, union?
CSEA.
CS. Versus small.
Not CSEA, 1037.
How much project kind of?
We can do that. in
Give or
public.
take, I don't, maybe 250,000, but it really depends on the percentages and at the end of the day, it's presented in front of council, and council can say no. These increases.
the other thing, Mr. Barron, that I wanted to bring up was about the capital budget. And I know when we talked about it, it was like, well, it's not something right now, we have to bond later, but I think it was mentioned at this table that as we're making these decisions, we shouldn't just be making decisions that impact us right now in this year. Because we're in a tight situation, we don't know what next year's gonna bring or the year after it's gonna bring. So how much of the things that we are looking at in the capital budget do we really have to do? I'm looking at the purchase of various equipment, trucks, et cetera, and seeing what did we purchase last year? And how many we asking for this year, and can we buy one less? It's just kind of stretches down the road. So I think we should also be looking at our capital projects as it will form.
Mr. Williams brought it up, several recommendations, and the mayor said that it doesn't affect this budget, which is correct.
Right.
But it affect, like we mentioned this yesterday, it affect what's gonna happen in 2027, who's paying for it, the taxpayer. And we have to, make recommendation and put that aside, so pay for this. The whole thing is that, and echo that, do we really need to make all these purchases this year, 2026?
Both purchases.
Can we push these off into 2027, 2028? Can they use these vehicles, these machines for one more year? Those are questions that, we as a body, we have to come up with and say, because this is millions of dollars here that's gonna be added on the back of taxpayers to pay in 2027 and beyond. This point in time, adding more is increasing the burden that taxpayers. So let's be cautious of what we're doing. I mean, yes, we did have a conversation yesterday about it, but whatever we take away here will have no impact on what we're trying to reduce the tax.
Right.
This is
Right,
separate from
that's right.
the whole overall budget. Go ahead.
Was did you have
Yeah.
your hand up? No? Oh, okay. Yeah, I just also want to say, I hear what you're saying, but I also think we need to think about age of vehicles, because we also, would have to do it next year. Meaning on some of these things, if they break down, and it also affects our services. So if we're looking at certain pieces of equipment, how do they affect our paving? How do they affect our snow plowing? How do they affect services that we try to provide to our residents in terms of infrastructure needs? So I hear what you're saying, and it doesn't affect what this year's general, this year's,
Yeah, it has no impact on the.
but it will affect.
On the cost recovery that we're trying to do. This is more of a long-term cost recovery and taxpayers, because if we were to say, okay, let's go buy all the equipment. We're looking at how are we gonna pay for it in 2027.
Right,
This
no, I hear what
is
you're
the
saying.
very same rule. I'm gonna say we have to increase taxes so that we can pay for all these. And this is what we talk about, is that every department, the next year or two, as we go along this budget, we're getting tight, start to tighten the belt and start to look at how can we do more with less. I know that's a hard, people don't like to hear that term, how can we do more with less?
I
And
did,
I think the time has come for us to do that at this point in time, is, you know, we don't have a choice. Because if we look at $4.1 million, and if you're looking at $600,000, $250,000 of anticipated cost to work that. And yes, we're looking at maybe potentially using some of that money towards an offset this increase and to keep the tax below what is proposed, then everything is on the table.
And I'll just repeat how I started. We can look at what we put in the budget last year for this. I'm not just recommending we just do away with it. But let's look at what we have last year's budget.
me too,
Let's look at,
I wrote it all down too.
what we asked for last year, and can we, you know, how much longer can we go? Can we go another year or two? But I think we have to take a look at those long-term impacts that what it's doing to our taxes, to our budget. So I know it won't impact this year, but eventually, if you put it off, it'll catch up with you.
Yeah, eventually it's gonna fall in place, because we're looking at, I mean, this is not gonna be forever, things gonna get better. And, you know, tax base is expanding, people are paying taxes, and think money will be available to spend in the future years and then, you know, expand and buy more in terms of this add to even the equipment, not apart from the vehicle and the things that we need to take care of the parks and things like that. But also look at software, hardware, the stuff. Do we really need to change all those things this next year, or can we just, you know, depart for another year? And those things those are hard questions, and we need to kind of make a determination of push it off for a year and release the 2027 budget on taxpayer, and let us recoup more revenue.
In terms of the IT stuff, I don't recommend this, but the way things change so much and people have opportunities to get into people's
Yeah.
personal information, all that, I would not recommend that we like kind of use old school software at this point in time. So let me just make that
I
clear
agree.
in terms of when I look at the capital, I'm not suggesting that at all.
I agree.
There have been too many breaches, you know, I get letters all the time, like this particular company that I'm with, there was a breach and maybe your information,
Where do we have that in the budget?
belong payment,
Yeah,
and that's,
no,
There's something else
we have no software upgrade.
okay.
The machine is all being upgraded this year because we allocated $60,000 last into this year's budget. And they're replacing all the equipments and softwares and things like that to bring them up to speed in terms of that and prepare themselves for that.
I think you mentioned software, that's why I said it.
Well, across, but there's nothing in IT here that,
So utilities and IT is different. I think that the smart node upgrade
It's
is
part
an
of
IT.
utilities. No,
It is, but I think it was Bawan that,
he did.
yeah, he
it's
talks
part
about
of his IT. It's just not in his, right? I mean, I don't think it's in, I think that, correct me, but didn't we move stuff that might have been in his budget before into the department? Or was it the other way? We took things that were in department budgets and put it in his budget.
So we
It
were
was like
talking
a-
about certain software package that only like Civic Plus, that
Yeah.
was separated into different departments, and now we consolidated to a better track.
Gotcha.
So I'm recommending we keep that,
And
That one.
Well, that is not really a software, that is like equipment outside of the field.
I'm not thinking with Civic Plus.
So,
Oh, the smart, we're talking about Civic Plus and all that to make sure we have all that, that's what I am saying.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a note from Balan. Smart nodes must have to promote safety. That's what he said at our.
What line is, IT, do you remember?
Page 91.
Oh, thank you.
And
Not the
the
capital,
capital,
not the
Capital,
capital,
it's
not the capital, but,
It's on the capital. Oh, you talk about that.
that's what I was just looking.
Oh,
I thought you
okay,
meant,
gotcha.
but I thought, okay, I wanted to actually look at his
So that's
within
page-
his budget?
Page 28.
Thank you.
So, yeah, when we talked about, and I have a note here that we, about, it's about
Oh, yes.
plus, mobile device management, image filter.
Yep, me too.
solution, So, I'm not talking about any of that.
Right. Oh, I thought you meant that that's what you don't want to change. That line,
I do not.
1680.
I was only talking about things in the capital budget. No,
Oh, okay.
I do not. Mr. Woodbury
Correct.
kind of mentioned it, and I think it took us down the road that he wasn't even talking about, but he said software, I'm like, no.
No, sorry, there's no software.
I think we're agreeing.
In our, we allocated money last year, and they're spending that money. And Mr. Bawan mentioned that, yes, he's gonna utilize all the funding and upgrade all the machine, and as the machine upgrade, it comes with new software to kind of protect us from cybersecurity and those malicious acts.
Mhm.
So we need to dive deeper, we need to dive in terms of revenue. Where do we pull this? Now, the other thing is, do we go into departments and look at the departments, each department, and kind of come up with some recommendation? I think that's our next step in terms of looking at the department and see, in terms of like fee for service, do we really need all those fee for service? Can we cut back? I'm making suggestion. I'm not.
No, I know what
trying to
I
be-
mean, I'm just asking, are you doing that tonight, or do you want to do that for like Thursday night? No, what's today, Tuesday? So we have to do it tomorrow morning.
I will like each of us to come up with something. We're not because we say we're gonna do it, but it's something like a recommendation, something to talk about and say, let's look at the department. If and say, okay, we need to bring it back to the department head. I guess we can do that to kind of like clarify any information in terms of, do you really need it?
So
What can we do better in terms of help to reduce your expenditure in each department?
So we would want to keep going tonight, I think, because we want to have them back tomorrow night so that we can make a final budget decision on Friday, right?
Let me hear Mr. Fargo and then we'll come back.
So I guess I was thinking that, so based on like, the recommendations, is it, that now I think I have some more information that I can kind of make some recommendations. Can I send them to you to say, this is what I'm recommending, and you can produce like a budget impact summary based on what I'm presenting to you, and then we can, so by the time we get to the table, we have some real numbers in front of us.
Yes, you can. We call it like a mock budget to say, okay.
Yeah, just like this is what I'm thinking
this is a
across these
scenario.
departments that are
Yeah.
about. Can you just run a scenario budget impacts?
If I were to do this, this is the impact it's gonna
Certainly.
take if you were to proceed with this.
Just number wise, what I'm saying, not looking service. Okay.
I think that what we've done before, I mean, I hate to say this, but we've done it, like right now, we would do that, and then these guys would go upstairs,
Yeah.
or go down the hall, and they would come back to us. They would come back to us, we would sit here and wait, and then they would come back to us with exactly what you're saying. It would be like council budget, I mean, it would be like revised budget based on the discussion but I guess what I'm saying is, for timing purposes, I would think, I hate to say this, but I think we have to do that tonight if we want to be able to make a final budget recommendation on Friday, because we're not meeting Thursday. Unless we meet Saturday.
I can anticipate hearing from any department heads between now and our final budget. I think that would be unrealistic without even hearing their schedules. I think the conversations we've had about the capital budget, the in-depth conversations we had about the revenue, I think the notes that we all took during presentations, I think we have to Ms. Patrick's point, I think I've been kind of afraid we haven't identified real numbers yet. I think in years past, we've at least tried to reach consensus in finance so that Mr. Gupnak is not building 50 mock schedules. Even though I imagine Mr. Eric would cheerfully want to go back and forth doing that and appreciate his swift response on that other request. I think we need to start having those tough discussions of where do we agree on what's been presented? And then that's my previous point, going into tomorrow with some presentations. We haven't had any real discussions about numbers or where do people stand, with which we can talk a lot about things, but we have to start honing down on what is realistically something the council is willing to lean for. Well, I'm at that place where I'm gonna send you what I'm thinking, and then you can help me understand like, the impact what that would have on the budget, and then when we get back to the table, I can say better.
Just have an idea, you're gonna be sending a list of all count codes with imposed
Yeah.
and the adjustments.
Certainly.
I'm also going to do that, but I did make some points, some direct points in terms of the revenue decision, in terms of the uncollect. I was thinking I made it, bring that up to about $2 million from 2.8. The cannabis tax, I think that needs to go up. I have notes about $300,000, give or take. The fines for the parking, I have a question mark on that. I wanted to kind of talk to the PD more about that. Because what we discussed last year into this year, when we increased the fee and the proposal, before I can attach a number in that. But the delinquent parking, the fines for parking, we have budgeted right now 910,000. With the approach that they're taking, let me take that back. The approach that they're taking, I think it's a good pathway what they're doing. But how can we look at the numbers based on the email that we have with those 6,000 to 9,000? And if we can do the math on that, I think it's going to be far higher than 910,000. And anything else that factor into that. The delinquent parking, I think we need to revisit that in terms of the outside collection agency, and we need to have a more aggressive approach. I think that should go up. I'm suggesting that we up that by $230,000. The home sale, I'm recommending that we keep that level this year, 4.5, increase of $1.5 million. And the mortgage tax, I am basing my trend on the way how I see the housing market in Schenectady, that we should bring that upward of 1.5 million.
So
That is my recommendation. It doesn't mean that you gotta take it out.
Well, I have some.
But I want
were you writing those down?
my colleagues to kind of like say, John, no, we shouldn't do market tax 1.5. We should maybe 1.2.
But are we waiting to do that conversation to
Well-
tomorrow night, or
Well,
can
we
we just
can
look at line by line based on,
we can revisit the revenue, because based on what we do with the revenue,
it's the,
and if that's feasible, then that will give us the driving force in the numbers that we have. Play with.
So I'd say based on that, I find myself more in line with your topics of discussion, at least with how you were discussing items with revenue. Just because we're seeing projections doesn't mean that's how we're going to vote. I think having that representation on paper helps us understand it better.
Mhm.
We can have the city staff have that as a reference into their discussions or building up an informational packet. I think that helps them guide how to better inform us based on what they're seeing. So I don't know if you would write that down.
Yes,
And then
And
give
send
that
it,
to Mr.
which is what you were saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I am definitely giving this to the commissioner this evening.
All right, that's.
Yeah, so this number, that's why we need to flush it out and kind of like let them start to look at this and say, let's come back to it and say, this is how it's looking. The other thing I don't have a number is the parking fine, but that's budgeted 910. And I think that can go up a little bit more, up in a million. So we need to have I'm not gonna put a number to that until I have a conversation with the P. And based on the email that we have and the numbers swooping around.
And can you tell me that when we were, before the meeting started, we were just looking at the memo, you had kind of multiplied it out?
Yeah, if you look at the 6,000 to 9,000.
Yeah.
Multiplied
Can you
by
just tell me
7 days, multiplied by, the days and weeks and months.
maybe we should pick a number like 7,000, which is between.
Yeah, but I picked the lowest number.
Oh, 6, okay.
I didn't go to the highest number.
And then you want to even maybe be safe and trim that down just a little
Yeah,
bit.
that's exactly that. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna say that it's 2.138 million. I'm gonna
So
take-
5 times 4
Yeah.
times 52 was what
Yes.
you did. Okay.
So it's just.
But I wanted to talk to them first about that. Because we can sit here and say multiply 6 by 7, by 4, by
Right.
12.
And they may not do it every single day.
That's exactly what, so I want to know if they're doing it 7 days a week, maybe it's 3 days, maybe it's 4 days, 5 days a week.
I think it's
So
just
then
5 days
maybe
a
come
week.
up with that number, and that will drive it, because if I look at my number here, it's in the 3 million. Not even touching, thing. Well, let's look at it, I mean, look, it's an estimate, we have over the years, sometimes we have high estimate, we fall short, but it's not at the end of the world, it's like, okay, it's a number they're projecting of it, because, I'm just being conservative, looking at the trend here. The highest one I have here is the home sales, what I'm looking at, what we have this year into next year. And based on the conversation last night, in terms of the foreclosure, the aggressiveness from the office, the Corporation Council office, foreclosure, I think we can achieve that. Because, and the reason I'm saying that, because in the past, it was like, we are lagging behind the foreclosure. I have complained many times, why are we not foreclosing, why are we not selling these houses? And it was like, well, we don't have the staff, we don't have the capacity. So now that is not the case. They're fully staffed and they're able to, they have the resource to move forward with this foreclosure on a timely basis. And that's how I'm driving my numbers.
So I would just suggest as a matter of process that based on some of the information that we got here tonight, I feel like, you know, I do want to sit with a little bit of this, but I would say that we send finance our plus and minuses via email, give them opportunity to obviously code them out for you, you know, and then when we reconvene, or even before then, possibly, we have those numbers as far as our budget impact goes, and therefore I think that's a great place to start a conversation where we can kind of go through everything. I'm just my suggestion as a matter of process. I think Mr. Williams has already done some of that. And we can just kind of refine it based on what information that we have here and then. I think that's the best way to move forward. That I think that's a love suggestion.
Just one point I want to touch on in terms of the healthcare costs. Saw that report that we provided us yesterday. Are those numbers like conform numbers that there's no flexibility to kind of up or down?
So, that's probably the worst case scenario that you're looking at.
Mhm.
Our internal numbers, we're looking at approximately for the general fund for health, over 17 million. So
But that's worst case.
what, 17 million for this year, we're looking for over 17. That's pretty much what we're estimating, and 19 million was proposed for 2026.
Yes.
But we took measures to reduce that by doing different formulas to reduce that drastically. It's about $2 million, only budget 17 million in the 26 proposed budget.
So follow up. Based on the recommendation from the consultant, is it a consultant they're using?
Well, maybe consultant for the healthcare and health insurance, with discussions with ProAct, MBT, just working with them, negotiating, got that number down. We don't know high cost of payments drive, the cost of pharmacy spend, medical, everything is up. Some of it, we have no control over.
Aren't we encouraged on savings from ProAct? In terms of the driving that savings? And if you're not doing, if you're not utilizing proactive, you're charging additional money?
I think you're talking about maintenance prescriptions.
Yes.
You go to the pharmacy.
Yes.
And you are charged. You have to do the mail order if you're doing maintenance.
Yes.
Same thing, you have availability of counter reps. So there are individuals that are reluctant still. Believe more retirees, maybe it's they like the face-to-face with the pharmacy. We're trying to get them to go onto the counter reps. Want to save them money and it saves us money.
Yeah. It's great programs.
Historically, this Board of Field and I can speak on this, the healthcare online. We have seen, and I'm not saying you are doing this from home, but we have seen a couple of years that when we hear, many years, that line sometimes inflated. But I'm not, that's before your time. So that's what I'm saying, what I'm saying, I'm not put that directly to you. But we have seen that, I remember a couple of years ago, we reduced that line and we still fall short of not, exceeding the estimate, a few years.
Well, I just want to make sure, in terms of the way that it's been calculated for 2026, I mean, do we already know? I mean, like, will MVP be raising the rates? I mean, do we know all those answers? Is there a risk that it'll be higher than, well, I mean, you said that 19 was actually what you
So 15.
actually thought it would be, but you put in for 17.
For 25, the goal was budgeted, not sure if Brian raising behind that. But we're definitely gonna oversee that on our estimates, and I think you saw the consultant's numbers and where they're projecting. But yes, we have, we've been working hard to reduce the, percentage increases for each renewal, the dental, MVP, Medicare Advantage, that's been rough. So we've actually reduced that greatly. They were originally quoting numbers just because of the environment we're in, but we got them down to originally 60%, got down to 15.
Wow.
And we actually were asked for a consultant to look and see if there are any other plans, and everything was very, very high. So 15 was pretty solid. It's a local company we're using, so I figured just stick with them at this point.
I mean, you also don't know, somebody could have a catastrophic, I mean, there could be an illness or, I mean, all sorts of things. Also,
Transition
hopefully you know your
between-
retirees, but
Transition between, whether it be paid for another company, so that would be quite the process.
Yeah.
And then we have to make sure that everything that we're providing the employees is the same exact coverage. Then whether they be higher premiums, the employees will be higher premiums. But for now, I think we're pretty comfortable with what we said, the formularies we adjusted. It's just, it's a tough market.
yeah.
Mr. Williams, you had made some suggested removals. Can you put that in a summary email with the total cost? And if you can send that off to, because that can also factor into, because as we increase the revenue, we reduce costs, so it's the kind of work both way. And you touched on some good recommendation. Maybe we need to explore it more and kind of like getting a consensus on what we're saying. And then you also had some other stuff in your proposal here. So I'm gonna submit my revenue, but I'm gonna go more into department. So I encourage everybody, make suggestions. It's not harming anything, just making life easy for us. And we explore it. So if we need to ask more question, hard question, we can reach out to the mayor, reach out to commissioner, reach out to the department head for them to kind of clarify and, to help us with the decision that we tend to make.
Should we do that perhaps through?
I encourage everybody to do that this evening to tomorrow. So when we're not meeting, we're meeting tomorrow.
So tomorrow morning,
So I ask
we'd have
that
to get them.
you please submit it.
before
Your
we do
recommendation.
anything.
Submit it tonight, submit it tomorrow. We come to the table. Here are the scenarios that we were to do this. And then if there's something that the commissioner and the mayor needs to reach out to the department for clarification, we can get that ahead of time. So I encourage you, we need to take a more high level approach now tomorrow into Friday. We need to kind of like, okay, here's my number, here's my suggestion. Put it in writing, send it to the email. So we lessen the kind of lengthy discussion here while we're dealing with numbers.
Right.
And I encourage everyone. Yes, myself, Ms. Porterfield, Williams, Ms. Farley has some lunch, please. Suggestion is needed.
So just, one other point of clarification, are we asking that, excuse me, for Mr. Gill to be on Wednesday tomorrow?
Well, I don't know if it is availability.
Right, so, because otherwise, there's no daylight.
If he's available tomorrow and can come in here for a quick, we will just get him in and out at 5:30.
All right, so, I don't know who makes that happen, and so I will forward you, what he sent in terms of what's gonna expire and all that, and then we'll all have that. But again, it may or may not impact this budget, it would be outstanding if it did, but just keep in mind that I'm trying to look at what we can do differently and better and get more income in terms of our pilots moving forward.
We have a game plan. We have homework to do. It's like school. Sorry. Yeah. So yes, I'm gonna submit mine and get the numbers in. I'm gonna copy everyone. You submit your stuff, please. If you don't mind, copy us so we are all on the same understanding and the same level of kind of reviewing what is being submitted.
I'm gonna give it to Maxine and Sean, and I'll learn the certificates for the camera dispensaries, and also I'll look at the past properties and the ones have foreclosed, the percentage have been redeemed, and then the ones for the next coming year.
Yeah, so then you'll get the opening date, so we have a better.
For the camera stores, yes, yeah.
It's pretty good. Anything else?
You owe us dinner.
You know what,
We can go now.
Oh.
All right, anything before finance? Motion to recess until tomorrow, 5:30.
so moved.
Same.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.